Chapter 621. Do you want me to invite both of you over? If one were to rank the divine skills, the words become laws, great divine power would certainly rank in the top 10. Words become laws is a divine skill that the Tao ancestor of the immortal realm created, where one's words meddle with life and death, shift day into night, turn the orderly into chaos. It is a truly terrifying power. Legend has it that the Tao ancestor spent a total of 7 times 7 or 49 years in seclusion in the celestial realm to create the words become laws, a power that seekers of the Tao pursue their entire lives. However, the immortal elder shared the real cause of this with Zhongli and others privately. There was a time when the Tao ancestor enjoyed tongue twisters and often ruminated on eating grapes without spitting their skin, slyly spitting grape skin without eating the grapes. The sage found it strange and asked, how easy it is to eat grapes without spitting the skins, but how could one spit grape skins if one doesn't eat grapes? The Tao ancestor agreed, and thus, he secluded himself in the celestial realm for 49 years and created the great divine power, words become laws, which finally solved the paradox of spitting grape skins without eating grapes. When Zhongli heard this story from the ancient immortal elder, his image of the Tao ancestor drastically changed. Originally, he thought that the Tao ancestor's personality was similar to his own, but he didn't expect the Tao ancestor's true character to be more like Bai Hongtu's. So what, you're just ignorant. You've never heard of the stories about the Tao ancestor of the immortal realm before. When I was a child following my ancient master, I'd hear him tell stories of the Tao ancestor every day. From a young age, I aspired to become someone like the Tao ancestor. Bai Hongtu disclosed his magnificent ambition. What did you want to be when you were little? Bai Hongtu asked Zhongli. Zhongli thought for a moment and replied, when I was young, I wanted to be a scientist, and as I grew older, I wanted to be a person who upholds fairness and justice. Then, you should have achieved it. The two were strolling inside the Emperor Tianyuan city, casually chatting while using their divine sense to scan the everyone inside the imperial city. Noble families, clannish prejudice, evil deeds, all were still present, but compared with before, it had greatly reduced. It was evident that Yu Yin had put in tremendous efforts in regulating the order of the Emperor Tianyuan dynasty. Speaking of which, it seems that Yu Yin was not always like she is now. Zhongli thought about Yu Yin's initial icy cold demeanor and her expressionless face in the remote communication talisman. He didn't quite understand the meaning of Bai Hongtu's words. Bai Hongtu brought Zhongli to a tea house, where they drank tea and ate cakes, and he said, probably due to her upbringing, I knew that she was a person who believed in the might is right concept right from the beginning when I first met Yu Yin. Later on, she became a candidate for the human emperor and interacted more with you, me, and Gigi, which slowly led to some changes. Much of the credit goes to you because you were always preaching about how order is the best in a country and it was your ideal nation. You said that reason is the most important thing in the world, not brute force, and people should act reasonably. Zhongli chuckled and shook his head, thinking Bai Hongtu was making wild guesses. Why didn't we just go and find Yu Yin directly, instead of disguising ourselves here and walking slowly to the imperial palace? Bai Hongtu pointed his finger and swung it left and right, boasting, don't you understand, what is this place? It's the most chaotic Emperor Tianyuan dynasty, how can we not play dumb here? Just listen to me, within 2 hours, some self-righteous young master will come here to flaunt his power, saying that he has reserved the whole place and asking us to get out. We'll calmly drink tea and refuse to leave. Then the conflict will escalate, the young master will send his steward to throw us out, we defeat the steward, then the young master summons the family's messengers, and we defeat them as well. He even asks his father to step in, and we defeat his father too, and finally, he implores his grandfather who is a court official to intervene. His grandfather, leading the army, surrounds us with a ferocious smile, claiming that no one has ever dared to insult his grandson in Tianyuan Emperor City. At this point, Yu Yin appears, revealing our identities. The young master's grandfather is horrified, everyone is in shock, and we are invited into the palace by Yu Yin. Perfect. Zhongli glanced behind Bai Hongtu and asked, isn't it inappropriate to keep Yu Yin waiting? Let her wait, we can say we got lost. Bai Hongtu didn't seem to mind. Zhongli looked at the charming figure behind Bai Hongtu again and kindly suggested, why don't you turn around, perhaps you can meet someone familiar. Bai Hongtu turned around only to meet the terrifying cold smile on Yu Yin's face. Zhongli sincerely said, isn't this great, directly skipping the complex process and straight to the big finale, with Yu Yin surfacing to greet you and shocking everyone. Without any disguise, Yu Yin showed up in the tea house, behind Bai Hongtu. Upon seeing their majesty personally, everyone in the tea house instinctively left their seats and stood in their places, their faces showing admiration and longing. There are frequent rumors among the common people that Yu Yin often comes incognito to redress people's grievances and that Yu Yin rules over the court with absolute power and command. All these rumors are positive, making Yu Yin extremely popular among the people. So, I should invite you two over. Yu Yin looked at the two men with a seemingly amused expression, which made the two feel a chill down their spines. Zhang Li quickly denied his involvement. Bai Hongtu just lost his way earlier, I just found him and was about to bring him to you. Yes, I lost my way. Bai Hongtu agreed. Both men revealed their true identities, causing a buzz among the crowd, their voices shaking and their bodies involuntarily trembling. The strongest human emperor amongst all the predecessors, Zhang Li. The strongest Dao sect master amongst all the predecessors, Bai Hongtu. And the strongest of the 9 monarchs, Imperial Yu Yin. The fact that they could see these three in person was a great blessing. Let's go. Yu Yin turned around briskly, Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu quickly followed suit. On the way back, Bai Hongtu curiously asked, how did you discover us? We didn't even sense your divine sense coming towards us. Without looking back, Yu Yin replied, I asked the city gate guard to pay keen attention. If some people entered who seemed to be here for leisure and didn't take anything seriously, they were to report to me. It must have been you who got exposed. No, it was you. The two quietly pointed the blame towards each other. I asked the city gate guards to pay attention to two people. Yu Yin knew what they were doing without a glance at them. The two immediately fell silent. Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu reflected profoundly, feeling that they should always maintain a serious appearance in future, even if they have nothing important to do. Instead of bringing the two into the palace, Yu Yin led them to a mountain outside the city. This was the Imperial Forest, a place Yu Yin often visited in her spare time. She would lie on a wooden chair, quietly reading a romance novel, listening to the babbling sound of the waterfall, enjoying the cool mountain breeze. It was extremely pleasant. Sometimes, when she got sleepy from reading, she would have the Ruyi gourd read for her while she dozed off on the wooden chair. Yu Yin also found painting inspiration here and practiced her Tao of painting. After learning the way of the music, she would even play tunes similar to high mountain and flowing water. It was here that she comprehended the words become laws. Yu Yin placed the Ruyi gourd on the wooden table. I'll teach both of you how to display the words become laws right here. Chapter 622. Learn to adapt to circumstances. The divine skill, what is said follows, is a fusion of, the word guides the law, from the great Confucian word post and the principles of musical rhythms that I have come to understand. So to learn what is said follows, you must first learn these two principles. When speaking to this point, Gigi felt that Yu Yin looked at him differently than Bai Hongtu. This was clearly questioning my capacity to learn. The mere, what is said follows, the simple principles of musical rhythms, what's so difficult about those? After all, I am a person who received the inheritance of a music immortal. Go on speaking, if I can't learn, that's my problem. Zhang Li waved his arm in a carefree manner, full of confidence. Quickly thereafter, as he listened to Yu Yin's explanation, Bai Hongtu plucked the strings of a lute and played a smooth melody, inducing comfort in body and soul. This was the epitome of the principles of the music realm's entrance. Hey, what are you two doing? I, the sect master of Dao sect, have transcended one immortal trial of transmigration, and arranged realms for 9 spiritual plants. Bai Hongtu stepped back and leaned against a tree. Upon seeing this, Zhang Li and Yu Yin approached and tied Bai Hongtu to the tree. Stop. Yu Yin used, what is said follows, to bind Bai Hongtu to the tree. Bai Hongtu, tied to the tree, flailed his legs and shouted resentfully, I've made contributions to the 9 provinces, I've bled for the 9 provinces, I want to see the human emperor, I want to see the human emperor. Wait, it seems it's the human emperor who tied me up. Having idly shouted to see the human emperor and realizing that it didn't fit the situation, he quickly changed, I want to see Lord Lu, I want to see Lord Lu. Yu Yin reassured him from the side. Don't worry, Zhang Li wants to test here how far he has learned the principles of musical rhythms. Why not experiment on yourself? Bai Hongtu frowned, angrily glaring at Yu Yin. Yu Yin admitted frankly, because I have no confidence in Zhang Li's musical rhythms. Do you think I have any confidence? Bai Hongtu suddenly realized, and turned his head to Zhang Li who was adjusting the guitar strings. I understand now, you must be jealous of my talent in musical rhythms. Not at all, Zhang Li denied it, playing a tumultuous piece, meanwhile singing, two tigers, running fast, running fast. Yu Yin hastily used his mana to drain the air from the surroundings, creating a vacuum in which he took refuge. Bai Hongtu felt like countless little devils crawling out of hell, tugging at his legs, trying to drag him into the underworld. Zhang Li thought he sang quite well, but judging from Bai Hongtu's tormented and distorted face, there seemed to be a gap between how he perceived himself and the actual effect. The path of music is indeed quite challenging, Zhang Li exclaimed as he calmed the guitar strings. Yu Yin also emerged from the vacuum. Seems like you won't be able to learn. What is said follows. Bai Hongtu shook off his bonds, revealing an expression of unmasked schadenfreude. Being in the transcendence tribulation stage, how could Bai Hongtu really be tied to a tree? He simply wanted to use poison to combat poison, to forget the psychological shadow left by Zhang Li's use of musical rhythms. However, it seemed the result wasn't great. He hadn't forgotten what happened earlier, and a new psychological shadow was left. Zhang Li thought a bit and said, not necessarily. You try using what is said follows a few times and let me see. Yu Yin whispered, today there will be rain. Suddenly, it started raining heavily from a clear sky, soaking the entire mountain. Outside the mountain, not a drop of rain fell. It was as if an invisible barrier separated the mountain from the outside world, like two different realities. Water can burn. A regular flame rose from Yu Yin's palm. The rain met the fire and ignited. The flames spread rapidly from the ground to the sky, turning the whole cloud into a fiery cloud. The fiery cloud rained down, transforming into countless flames. The stream caught fire, turning into a sea of fire. When the waterfall met the flames, it turned into a waterfall of fire. Disperse. At Yu Yin's command, whether it was the heavy rain or the heavy fire, all disappeared without a trace. The plants that were burned by the fire also returned to their original state. The streams murmured, the waterfall cascaded, the grass was tender and green, as if nothing had happened. I see, this is the principle of what is said follows. The earth is flowing. After Zhang Li finished speaking, the ground beneath his feet became as fluid as seawater. He bobbed gently and soon was engulfed by the soft, moist earth. Zhang Li lay flat, moving with the wafting waves of the earthy sea. Having risen again, he said, disperse, and the earth returned to its normal state. It's rather easy. I've learned. Zhang Li's small experiment turned out well. How did you manage to learn it? Have you studied? The word guides the law. Have you studied the principles of musical rhythms? What about the process? Bai Hongtu didn't understand. The divine skill, what is said follows evolved from, the word guides the law, and the principles of musical rhythms, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to learn these two principles first. You only need to watch, what is said follows several times to learn it. Zhang Li shrugged. He had carefully observed Yu Yin's movements when he used what is said follows and could learn from that. You only need to have a mouth. Bai Hongtu grit his teeth. He really couldn't compete with Zhang Li in terms of innate talent for Dao spells. He could only commit to studying, the word guides the law, and the principles of musical rhythms. You must think thrice before you act. With the words of heaven in his mouth, Bai Hongtu told Zhang Li to stop, and he really did stop and began to think 3 times. Not to be outdone, Zhang Li said, don't do unto others what you wouldn't have them do unto you. Bai Hongtu also had to think 3 times. After learning what is said follows, the two men controlled their realm to the transcendence tribulation stage and competed. Bai Hongtu pointed at Zhang Li and commanded, you must maintain a sunny disposition. A little sun appeared in Zhang Li's heart, terrifyingly hot. Zhang Li responded, you must cheer up. Bai Hongtu's hand moved uncontrollably, digging out his heart. The two men looked at each other and decided to call a temporary truce. Zhang Li extinguished the tiny sun while Bai Hongtu swallowed his heart. My sword chi flows like a cascade, unstoppable. Innumerable sword chi emerged around Bai Hongtu, tearing through space, looking menacing. He pointed with a sinister smile, and the countless sword chi converged into a mighty dragon, roaring, full of metal and toughness, rushing toward Zhang Li. Zhang Li issued a command, no carrying of controlled knives allowed. The sword chi vanished without a trace and the mighty dragon disappeared instantly. Zhang Li launched a counterattack, you're as stubborn as a bull. Bai Hongtu became angry, his eyes turned red, and bull's horns appeared on his head, resembling a raging bull. Seething, Bai Hongtu commanded, you've got a lotus flower in your mouth. Zhang Li opened his mouth, and one by one, lotus flowers appeared, falling to the ground beneath him. Soon, Zhang Li was surrounded by lotus flowers. You'll gush golden springs. A golden spring emerged beneath Bai Hongtu's feet, spraying him into the sky. Watching the shenanigans of the two fellows who had newly learned what is said follows. Yu Yin, who stood not far away, seemed speechless. Could you two perhaps do something useful? Zhang Li and Bai Hongtu both paused their actions at the same time, feeling that Yu Yin's words made sense. Therefore, Zhang Li said, I am going to use the power of time. A bewildered Gigi appeared, looking at Zhang Li. He was just practicing. How did he end up here all of a sudden? Could someone explain to me what just happened? Chapter 623, Collision. Gigi activated his double pupils and saw these two unreliable guys experimenting with the divine skill of, as you say, so it happens. When Zhang Li wanted to exhibit the way of time, the divine skill pulled him in. Gigi felt that this divine skill wasn't very reliable. Bai Hongtu applauded, congratulations, you can now use the way of time. Zhang Li defended himself, it was all accidental, let me try something else. I want to use the way of space. The Brahma Heaven Tower appeared, also unsure of what had happened. So, Gigi kindly explained to the Brahma Heaven Tower, Zhang Li wanted to display the way of space. The will of the world found it too difficult and dragged you over. Zhang Li reflected that there must have been a problem somewhere and then sent the Brahma Heaven Tower and Gigi back. I want to learn the way of time. A book, Great Zhou Dynasty Family Entry to the Way of Time, appeared in Zhang Li's hand. The first page contained Gigi's inscription, Brother Zhang, stop reading. You won't be able to learn this. I want to display the way of sound rhythm. Nothing happened after Zhang Li finished speaking. He played a melody, which still sounded as terrible as usual. What's going on? There's no change. Yu Yin raised his hand, I'm right here, no need to summon. Zhang Li felt that the divine skill of, as you say, so it happens wasn't very useful. Bai Hongtu, who was proficient in using this divine skill, felt wrongly accused, it is merely a divine skill, don't make unreasonable demands on it. Am I destined to never master the 100 arts of cultivation? Bai Hongtu consoled Zhang Li, you can't say that, you may still be able to learn it. Give yourself some time and you'll get it. Zhang Li was skeptical, how long will I have to wait? Bai Hongtu nodded and said sincerely, in your next life. Zhang Li was furious and the two of them once again displayed the divine skill of, as you say, so it happens, engaging in a standoff. After exhausting themselves utterly, neither emerged the victor. Yu Yin took a sip of thunder tribulation liquid to moisten his throat and beseeched them to stop toying with it. According to my research, as you say, so it happens isn't omnipotent. There are some things that just can't be done. What's more, the, as you say, so it happens that I've comprehended may not be the same as the original version. The greater divine skill, as you say, so it happens was created by the Tao ancestor of the immortal realm and wasn't widely known. Only a few in the immortal realm knew it. Yu Yin admitted himself inferior to Tao ancestor. After Tao ancestor became a primordial chaos immortal, he studied for 49 years before creating this divine skill. No matter how talented Yu Yin was, he couldn't create the original version of, as you say, so it happens that easily. Zhang Li casually said, I don't know when Wu Ji will be able to perform the slaying of the 3 corpses and chop Tao ancestor out of it. This way we would know a lot of things, such as how to go to the immortal realm. Wait, can, as you say, so it happens take us to the immortal realm? Zhang Li immediately employed, as you say, so it happens, find the coordinates of the immortal realm. A tortoise shell inscribed with coordinates to the immortal realm from 1,000 years ago appeared in Zhang Li's hand from his storage ring. Quote, give, as you say, so it happens a break, it's already working very hard. As the creator of this divine skill, Yu Yin felt sympathy for, as you say, so it happens as he saw it being tortured by Zhang Li to meet such unreasonable demands. Alright then, Zhang Li didn't expect any more surprises from, as you say, so it happens. Zhang Li felt as though something was about to happen. The moment Zhang Li looked up at the sky, the ground began to shake. An earthquake? No, this is a spatial flux. The 3 of them immediately realized something was wrong. It wasn't the 9 provinces continent that was shifting, but the whole 9 provinces world. For the world, such a shake was merely a jolt, with no impact, but for the 9 provinces continent, it was an earthquake. Stabilize. The 3 of them simultaneously shouted out to stabilize the space, using, as you say, so it happens, and the earthquake disaster ceased. What exactly is the issue? None of them had encountered this situation before. Zhang Li felt as though he had a clue, sensing the source of the problem in the dark. It appears that the earth vein is warning me. Zhang Li made a judgment, then continued, I roughly know where the problem lies, let's go there together. Okay, I'll notify the major powers. Bai Hongtu took out the remote communication talisman. Zhang Li contacted Commander Lu with the remote communication talisman, asking him to reassure the public. When the three of them arrived above the 9 provinces continent, hundreds of body integration realm cultivators had gathered, including Sword Monarch, Li Er, and Old Dragon King, all at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Although everyone was usually relaxed, nobody let their guard down in critical times. GG, use your double pupils to see what happened. GG frowned and shook his head. I can't use the way of time for some reason, so I can't see the future. Zhang Li had a suspicion in his mind. Let's go over and have a look first. According to the direction specified by Zhang Li, the Brahma Heaven Tower tore through the space, leading everyone to the location. Upon arrival, an astonishing scene appeared. Their destination was supposed to be the edge of the 9 provinces world, but instead, a vast starry sky presented itself before everyone's eyes. At this point, the 3 rulers calculated the source of the shock and also tore through time and space to reach the location where Zhang Li and others were. Most people didn't recognize the 3 rulers, but it didn't prevent them from sensing their overwhelming strength. They had definitely reached the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Mr. Zhang Li, it appears that a collision has occurred between the worlds, said Increasing Entropy ruler. They had previously constructed models for world collisions. Zhang Li nodded. I was thinking the same. In a world collision, 2 worlds with different time flow rates connect, creating temporal chaos and making it hard to use the way of time. Zhang Li had previously witnessed a world collision. After Jingyu world was occupied by the heavenly demon from outside the domain, it collided with Heartfelt world, and then the cultivators of Jingyu world had their souls attached to the inhabitants of Heartfelt world. Which world is on the other side? Immortal realm. Did your, as you say, so it happened skill work? Bai Hongtu stared wide-eyed. Although theoretically there could be a world collision in reality, this was the first time he had ever seen one. Zhang Li disagreed. No, the world on the other side clearly doesn't fit the description of the immortal realm given by the old immortal. Although the world on the other side is vast, it can't possibly reach the size of the immortal realm, and besides, it doesn't have immortal power. Space is distorting, someone is coming. Brahma Heaven Tower was the first to notice the movement. Not far away, space warped, and numerous cultivators appeared. Their aura was overpowering, so much so that the mere pressure made everyone else step aside. Zhang Li had a look over there, and incredibly, there were 8 Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivators and 100 Body Integration stage cultivators. Zhang Li used a voice transmission to inform everyone else about the strength of the adversaries, leaving them astounded. This level of strength was certainly formidable, second only to the 9 provinces in all the worlds they had experienced. When the other side saw the formation on Zhang Li's end, they were clearly taken aback too, not expecting to encounter such a strong world. Before Zhang Li could ask anything, the person leading the other group stepped forward and asked, "We come from the 8th Desolate World. The world collision was unintended, not our doing. May I ask what your esteemed world is called?" 9 Provinces World, Zhang Li answered succinctly. Chapter 624, 8th Desolate World. The 8th Desolate World, everyone present had heard of this world. It holds a certain reputation among the 10,000 realms. It's said that before the dissolution of the Immortal Ladder, there were more than 10 individuals in the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Although not quite on par with JoJo, it was still considered one of the top-ranked worlds in terms of strength with formidable combat capabilities. Speaking about the lineages of immortals, the 8th Desolate World also had quite a few, with many immortals leaving their legacy in the 8th Desolate World, establishing a solid foundation. The cultivators of the 8th Desolate World were equally shocked when they saw Zhang Li and the others. They hadn't expected that the 8th Desolate World had collided with the renowned JoJo world. They had over 100 individuals in the body integration realm on their side, whereas the other side numbered in the hundreds, a significant difference in numbers. Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin, Sword Monarch, Old Dragon King, Li Er, and the 3 sovereigns, although their specific realms couldn't be determined, it was apparent that all 8 of them were in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, equivalent to their own Transcendence Tribulation stage quantity. That golden little tower, filled with a strong Buddhist aura, was definitely an immortal artifact. The most difficult to figure out was the person who introduced himself in the lead. His depth was indiscernible, appearing to be an ordinary person, without a trace of spiritual power fluctuations. Yet, anyone with some sense knew that a mere mortal couldn't possibly represent 8 individuals at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, let alone the apparent deference that the 8 showed towards him. An immortal left in JoJo. The body integration realm cultivators from the 8th Desolate World were restless, whispering to each other, only to be sternly reprimanded by their leader. Shut up, you unworldly lot. The body integration realm cultivators immediately fell silent, daring not speak further. The leader respectfully introduced himself, showing sincerity, and said, "Let me introduce myself. We 8 are the 8 Desolates Masters of the 8 Desolate World, named after the 8 trigrams. My name is Qian Desolate Master." Zhang Li, seeing this gesture of goodwill, reciprocated, "So, you are Qian Desolate Master. My name is Zhang Li, I am the human emperor of the Jojo world. These people behind me are my friends. However, I am curious as to why our worlds collided without any apparent reason. Do you happen to know the cause, Qian Desolate Master?" Qian Desolate Master regretfully shook his head. "No, I do not know the reason. It is perhaps a coincidence. If I may be frank, our 8 Desolate world has not been very fortunate these past thousands of years, colliding with other worlds. Fortunately, no casualties were ever caused. After colliding with your world, we were equally surprised, worrying that the collision might have damaged your world. Hence, we assembled our high-level cultivators to come and assist. However, we didn't anticipate that your world would turn out to be the Jojo world. Turns out, we fretted for nothing." Qian Desolate Master responded with self-deprecating laughter. "Not at all, we should thank you, Qian Desolate Master, for coming to our aid. This isn't a place for idle chatter. Why don't we continue our talk in Jojo land?" Zhang Li wanted to learn more about the situation. Qian Desolate Master hesitated. "I appreciate the offer, but what about my brothers and subordinates?" "No worries, they can come to the Jojo land as well." Qian Desolate Master was startled, re-evaluating the strength of Jojo world to have increased yet another grade. On their side, they had 8 individuals at the Transcendence Tribulation stage and over 100 in the body integration realm. The two worlds didn't understand each other, yet this Zhang Li didn't hesitate at all to let them into Jojo land. If they harbored any ill will, the catastrophe it could bring upon Jojo world would be tremendous. Qian Desolate Master confessed to himself that he wouldn't be able to do such a thing. Was this due to the strength of Jojo world outstripping any fear of insurrections, or did it simply not occur to them? Qian Desolate Master leaned towards the former. "Hall Master, according to the guard reports, the tremors were promptly stopped. The mortals also have some cultivation and hence there was no public unrest and no casualties or property damage were reported," Lu Commander reassured Zhang Li upon his return to the Imperial Palace. "That's a relief. Who are these people behind you?" "They are the 8 Desolate Masters of the 8 Desolated World. The recent spatial tremors were the result of a collision with the 8 Desolate World." "I see," Lu Commander, having heard of the 8 Desolate World, wasn't worried about them causing trouble in Jojo. With 8 individuals in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, Sect Master Bai Hongtu could suppress them with the Spirit Plant Great Array. "The few of us will discuss matters in the Imperial Palace Guest Hall. The rest from our side, and the body integration realm individuals from the 8 Desolate World, can wait outside. Officer Lu, please take care of them. They were about to discuss things that were inappropriate for the body integration realm individuals to overhear." "Understood." Lu Commander walked out of the Imperial Palace. In the Imperial Palace Guest Hall, the Transcendence Tribulation stage individuals from Jojo World, Observer Civilization, and 8 Desolate World took their seats. "The Lu Commander you mentioned earlier, is he an immortal?" Qian Desolate Master's voice was shaking, he had seen clearly how reverently the immortal treated Zhang Li. Lu Commander became an immortal thanks to a fortuitous circumstance. Zhang Li laughed heartily, then asked, "I wonder what the rate of time flow is in the 8 Desolate World, and how much time has passed since the immortal ladder broke?" 6,000 years have passed. At that time, I had not been born yet. I only heard about a giant hand tearing apart the boundary and breaking the immortal ladder. Seeing Zhang Li not elaborating on how Lu Commander became an immortal, Qian Desolate Master asked, "In my eyes, Zhang Emperor's strength is vague. Has Zhang Emperor reached which stage? Is he an immortal too?" "Not an immortal. After the Transcendence Tribulation stage, I forged the Mahayana realm, and I am still immortal being." "You actually opened up a new realm." The 8 Desolate Masters, upon hearing this, widened their eyes. Their bodies swayed slightly from the shock, as they could barely sit still. As individuals in the Transcendence Tribulation stage, they could perfectly control their bodies. Yet, they were involuntarily shaking now, reflecting the depth of the surprise in their hearts. The 8 Desolate World has a long history and has had contact with the immortal realm. It was the first time in their memory and in the recorded history that someone had broken out from the cultivation system and created a new realm. The Jojo world truly harbored people of extraordinary abilities. How much does Qian Desolate Master know about the immortal realm after the breaking of the immortal ladder? Qian Desolate Master shook his head. I know nothing. But ever since we lost contact with the immortal realm, despite exhausting all methods, we still couldn't make contact with it. At that time, an old immortal ancestor came to our immortal realm lineage for inspection. He encountered the disappearance of the immortal ladder and was unable to return to the immortal realm. The senior speculated that either a formidable enemy emerged that was on par with the immortal realm, or there was internal strife in the immortal realm and the immortals of 8 Desolate World had taken the wrong side. Fortunately, right before the immortal ladder disappeared, there happened to be an immortal who left behind a specially made storage ring filled with immortal power. Although we couldn't ascend to the immortal realm, we could attain immortality. Over the past 6,000 years, 2 of our seniors have managed to become immortals. Currently, these 3 immortals are in retreat in their caves. Unless there is a major crisis threatening the survival of the world, they won't break their seclusion. Zhongli raised an eyebrow. Have you never encountered creatures at the Earth immortal level? Creatures. Qian Desolate Master had a baffled look on his face, and other Desolate Masters also shook their heads, not understanding what Zhongli was talking about. In fact, we know more about the immortal realm than you do. Zhongli sighed and then revealed the truth about the situation 9,000 years ago and the present state of the immortal realm. The 8 Desolate Masters leaned forward, listening attentively. Compared to you, our JoJo world has been through a lot more hardship. JoJo too has to face creatures of the Earth immortal level, but sadly we do not have sufficient immortal power. Each generation of the human emperor could only fight these creatures relying on the Earth's pulses, exchanging their blood for the peace that JoJo has enjoyed for the past 9,000 years. The 8 Desolate Masters paid their respects and admiration for the successive generations of the human emperor, earning quite a bit of favor from those present. So you see, the 8 Desolate World is also a renowned major world. The immortal realm wouldn't ignore you. Since you have not been attacked by fallen immortals, there is only one other possibility left, the immortal realm conspiring to gradually destroy the 8 Desolate World. Chapter 625. Who is the master and who is the subordinate? Such a thing happened. Qian, the master of the desolate land, rose to his feet, considering this as the biggest gain of the day. So, can you think about it? Have you encountered any odd occurrences? Qian pondered for a moment and said, if we're talking about the strangest event, it has to be the collision of worlds. In the past 6,000 years, our world has collided with 3 other worlds. Usually, the probability of a world collision is very small, but your world has suffered 3 consecutive collisions. This shouldn't just be bad luck. Someone must be facilitating it from behind the scenes. Qian conceded to Zhongli's point. We initially thought it was just bad luck, but after hearing your insights, I now suspect there's more to it than meets the eye. What happened to the worlds after the collision? The 3 worlds voluntarily became part of the 8 Desolate Land. After discussions, we agreed to this. The current 8 Desolate Land is actually a composition of 4 worlds, several times larger than our original. Zhongli then had a sudden realization. I was wondering earlier why the 8 Desolate Worlds seemed unreasonably vast when I saw it. This explains it. Qian said, perhaps there's something amiss with these 3 worlds. Once we return, we should examine them carefully. I would like to thank you, Zhongli, for providing us with this valuable information. Zhongli waved his hand. The immortal realm harbors ill intentions towards the 10,000 realms. At this critical period, we should put aside our differences and help each other. Qian looked fervently at Zhongli. That's what I was thinking. When the Ascension stairway still existed, the Ascension predecessors from your land and our immortals from the 8 Desolate had good connections and made their names in the immortal realm. How about we seize this opportunity and merge our lands of JoJo and 8 Desolate together? What do you think? I don't mind. We already have established contact with more than 10 worlds in JoJo and reached mutual aid agreements. But wouldn't this require the consent of your 3 immortals? Zhongli asked curiously. No, the 3 immortals only intervene when there is a crisis threatening the survival of the world. Bothering them about this would just cause unnecessary trouble, said Qian. At this point, Qian shrunk his neck a little, evidently frightened of the 3 immortals. What does it mean that you have established contact with more than 10 worlds? Asked Qian. Ever since we discovered the truth about the immortal realm, we've been sending people to explore other worlds to uncover the immortal realm's scheme. To guard against the potential resurgence of the immortal realm, we've established spatial channels with these worlds. We not only protect them, but also engage in deep exchanges in areas such as economy, culture, and the like. You are indeed benevolent. If it were me, I wouldn't be able to accomplish this sort of feat. Qian continued, as the old saying goes, without rules, there is no circular field. Since our two worlds will unite, we ought to decide who would be in charge. Zhang Li nodded and asked, so, who, in your opinion, should be in charge, Qian? Without hesitation, Qian said, naturally, it should be us, the Eight Desolate. We have 3 immortals, 1 near heavenly immortal and 2 earth immortals. The immortal power in our storage rings is enough for several people to ascend to immortality, whereas in JoJo, I believe only you and Commander Lu possess immortal level power. Zhang, it is clear who is superior here. As soon as Qian finished speaking, the other masters agreed with him. Sword Lord frowned, displeased with Qian's words. He wanted to unsheath his sword and fight the opposition, but was restrained by Bai Hongtu. Wait and see. Although Sword Lord didn't understand Bai Hongtu's intentions, he did not unsheath his sword again. Zhang Li crossed his arms, resting his chin on his hand, and asked with a smile, since that's the case, would Master Qian like to test the strength of this master at the Mahayana realm? Despite Zhang Li's calm tone and lack of anger, Qian was sweating coldly from fear. A Transcendence Tribulation stage practitioner has the ability to sense disaster, and at this moment, Qian sensed a looming life-threatening crisis. The remaining 7 masters had similar feelings. The 8 masters realized that although the 8 Desolate was powerful, they were only at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. In the face of a pioneer who had opened a new realm, they had no right to be proud. Only their quasi-heavenly immortal posed a threat to Zhang Li. Qian calmly said, Zhang, you must prioritize the bigger picture. Our common enemy is the immortal realm. Internal disputes won't do us any good. We need to work together in the future. If we fight now, it will cause animosity, making it difficult to cooperate. As it happens, I have a proposal that I think the Transcendence Tribulation practitioners from JoJo might like to hear. Go on. Although we have decided to unite, this is, after all, a matter between 2 worlds and we do not fully understand each other yet. So, how about this? We can build friendship through martial contests. Both JoJo and 8 Desolate each send out a team to fight in the human, Chi Cultivation stage, Foundation Establishment stage, Golden Core stage, Nascent Soul stage, Divinity Transformation stage, and Body Integration realm. There will be precisely 7 matches in total, 4 out of 7 wins. The winner will take the lead. However, as the 8 Desolate has now formed a new alliance with 3 other worlds, cultivators from these 3 worlds can also participate in the contest. To maintain fairness, since JoJo is in contact with more than 10 other worlds, you can also choose participants from these worlds. What do you think? Agreed. Zhang Li then asked, what cultivation level do you mean by human? Qian was caught off guard by the question. What was that supposed to mean? If a human had a cultivation level, how could they still be considered human? Humans are naturally without cultivation. Then, we can only send off untrained 8-year-old children to fight. Qian was surprised. Does every person in JoJo practice cultivation? At least to the middle stage of Qi cultivation. As the 5 elements Qi cultivation art first part spread throughout the lands, all humans in JoJo had already stepped into middle stage of Qi cultivation. Given some time, they could all advance to the 6th level of Qi cultivation. Qian seemed to see the hope of victory in the human group and let out a triumphant smile. It's a real pity, Zhang Li. If there are no humans in JoJo, then you can only send an 8-year-old child to the battleground. I wonder if an 8-year-old child can withstand our martial arts trained humans. Zhang Li calmly said, Master Qian, there's no need for your concern. Seeing Zhang Li's demeanor, Qian thought of it as a sign of weakness, as if he was giving up on the human group. A victory claimed even before the fight commences. Should we then return to select our contestants and hold the contest 5 days from now? Sure. Qian, with the other 7, left the Imperial Palace. Seeing that the body integration practitioner from the 8 Desolate did not dare to accept Lu's hospitality and was trembling with fear, he yelled, useless lot, all of you get back. Like receiving a pardon, the body integration practitioners of the 8 Desolate world left with the 8 masters. Upon returning to the 8 Desolate world, Qian sternly instructed the body integration practitioners, all of you are field masters and are familiar with your respective fields. So, select one person, ranging from human to divinity transformation stage, to fight in front of me. Only the winner can represent the 8 Desolate in the contest in JoJo. If I find out that any of you aren't taking this matter seriously, don't blame me for being ruthless. Yes, sir. What do you think? Zhang Li asked the others. The 8 Desolate is trying to test our strength. Yu Yin furrowed his brow. Bai Hongtu sneered, let them test and see what they can find. Chapter 626, Mortal. In the blink of an eye, 5 days had passed, and an arena had sprung up before the doors of the Imperial Palace. It was built by Artifact Refinement Peak, and even a battle between Divinity Transformation Stage wouldn't be able to break it. The 8 desolate worlds suggested holding the competition on the side of the 9 states. The Transcendence Tribulation Stage cultivators of 9 states were seated in the judges' stand, waiting for the monks from the 8 wilderness to arrive. The Lord of Increasing Entropy sent a message to Zhang Li, Mr. Zhang Li, it's as you suspected. On the day of the 8 desolate worlds Transcendence Tribulation Stage, not everyone returned back to the 8 desolate world. 2 were left behind to investigate the situation in 9 states. They focused particularly on yourself, the Earth veins, and the affairs of Longevity Immortal. They already know that 9 states has 2 immortals, one is General Liu, the other is Longevity Immortal. After leaving the Imperial Palace, Zhang Li instructed the 3 lords to monitor the state of the Transcendence Tribulation Stage monks from the 8 desolate world in secret. In terms of observation capabilities, no one could beat these 3 individuals. As Zhang Li had anticipated, the 8 desolate world showed unusual interest in the 9 states. I've been briefed on the matter. You've worked hard, please have a seat, Zhang Li said. The 3 lords took their seats, only to see a 5-clawed black dragon descending onto the 9 states amidst clouds and mist. 8 lords from the desolate area rode on the back of the black dragon, bringing with them meticulously selected mortals and cultivators for the competition. These mortals and cultivators were veiled in black robes, separating them from outside exploration. Clearly, they did not want the 9 states to know their information. Despite the uselessness of such petty strategies against Zhang Li, he had no intention of using his divine sense to investigate. He had full confidence in the cultivators of the 9 states. Sorry for keeping you waiting. Some things came up before we set off. Qian, the host of the Desolate 8, apologized with a fist palm salute. We've only just arrived as well, replied Zhang Li. Shall we begin the competition? Sure, let's follow the set order, starting with the Mortal Division. Brother Zhang, don't you wish to let go of the Mortal Division? We have to give it a shot, Zhang Li replied. Well then, I won't hold back. Sima Tong, you're up first. One of the Desolate 8 removed his robe, revealing a face full of coarse flesh. A blue pattern adorned his left cheek, and his robust bone structure and tall stature were clear to see. No trace of spiritual energy fluctuation could be detected from him. Master Qian chuckled, explaining, Qian is here to present himself in a ridiculous light. We cultivators have very few intersections with mortals. Essentially, it's because mortals lack the necessary qualifications and cultivating them is a sheer waste of spiritual energy. However, some mortals firmly believe that they are extraordinary and capable of matching immortal arts with martial arts, even creating their own path. One of the worlds that collided with the 8 desolate world is a world that practiced martial arts. Sima Tong is an outstanding figure among them. He refined his skin, flesh, and bones to reach the golden body iron bone realm. His martial arts cultivation has reached perfection, and he has even torn half-step nascent soul cultivators apart with his hands. He could be considered as unparalleled among mortals. Zhang Li nodded. It was indeed not easy to cultivate to this point. Great Master Bu Jing, you're up for the first round. Bu Jing, in his white training clothes and cloth shoes, responded lightly and walked towards the arena, exuding an aura of a grandmaster. Master Qian's smile froze on his face. Sima Tong had begun warming up atop the arena. He had heard that 9 states could only send out 8-year-old children for combat. Although he initially planned to take things lightly, he couldn't help but take things seriously when he remembered the warning given by his domain lord before leaving. He dared not slack off in the slightest. When Bu Jing set foot on the arena, Sima Tong felt a wave of inexplicable chill running through him. His body instantly stiffened where he couldn't move, as if every inch of him was being pointed at by sharp blades. The slightest movement would lead to being flayed and decapitated. This sort of threat reminded him of his domain lord's warning before leaving. Just who was this man? Was this not a combat among mortals? Brother Zhang, exactly who is? The smile on Qian's face faded. As soon as he first set eyes on Bu Jing, he could sense that this mortal named Bu Jing was in harmony with heaven and earth, radiating profound meanings in every move. It was unlike body cultivation, yet seemed superior to body cultivation. This man comes from the Ring universe, a world where martial arts are dominant, much like 9 states. Both of us are allies against the immortal realm. Great Master Bu Jing is the most accomplished in martial cultivation in this world. He can perceive all things, is impeccable, and is perfect in body. He named this realm, unbroken when facing the divine. He could barely confront a cultivator at the body integration realm, with both having an equal chance of winning. Master Qian forced a laugh. When he said, barely, he meant there wasn't a significant gap between the realm of, unbroken when facing the divine, and the body integration realm. Up on the arena, Sima Tong was in a state of apprehension. His little martial arts cultivation achievement was simply insignificant in front of Bu Jing. He couldn't even bear to showcase it. The gap was too wide to the point he didn't even want to make a move. Sima Tong wanted to admit defeat, but he didn't dare to do so in front of the 8 respected lords of the desolate area. He gritted his teeth and prepared to begin. Mountain linking fist. Bellowing loudly, Sima Tong assumed a posture. His vitality surged, and his muscles bulged. His entire body seemed to have enlarged by one size. The mountain linking fist was a technique he had created himself. Every punch landed like the collision of mountains, wielding an imposing force comparable to that of great mountains. The half-step nascent soul cultivator he previously defeated perished under this technique. Bu Jing lifted his hand lightly, sending Sima Tong flying across the arena. The so-called imposing strength of the mountains disappeared without a trace. Bu Jing is victorious, declared the referee. I wonder how many individuals of the same caliber as Bu Jing there are, Qian inquired. Only him, for now, who has stepped into the realm of, unbroken when facing the divine, answered Zhang Li. Master Qian breathed out in relief slightly. Cultivating to such a state without the use of spiritual energy posed a significant challenge to the entire system of cultivators. Where does the superiority of the cultivators stand? If this were to occur in the 8th desolate world, Bu Jing would have died before he could break into the realm of, unbroken when facing the divine. Such people were far too dangerous. Ji Yuming, you're next, Master Qian announced. He was quite interested in seeing how many unique mortals 9 states could find. Ji Yuming was slightly weaker than Sima Tong and was able to confront a golden core stage cultivator. As Ji Yuming took his stance, he found that he had no idea how to handle his opponent. Half energy body, half mechanical body. Except for the form of a human, no other part of his body resembled the human race. What is this? Master Qian had never seen such a human before. This man seemed even stranger than Bu Jing. Purely a product of technology. You can think of him as the equivalent of a divinity transformation stage through aspects of technology, Zhang Li explained with a grin. The second mortal dispatched by the 9 states was a scientist from the civilization of observers. The body integration realm of the observer civilization was promoted by the 3 lords, which does not entirely count as their own achievement. In order to be fair, Zhang Li did not employ the body integration realm cultivators. Instead, he chose a few divinity transformation stage cultivators to make up the numbers. The 3 lords exchanged glances, seeing the joy in each other's eyes. They didn't like the 8th desolate world. If they could make the 8th desolate world suffer a setback, they would be more than happy. The divinity transformation stage cultivator who was into the study of universal gravitation raised his arm and pointed vehemently towards Ji Yuming. All of a sudden, Ji Yuming lost control and was pinned down to the ground by the force of gravity. He couldn't even lift a finger. The outcome of the compete was clear. The rounds in the mortal division that followed were the same as the previous 2. It couldn't even be said to be a battle anymore. 9 states held an overwhelming advantage. The mortals who had achieved great things in the fields of martial arts and technology showcased their skills. The mortals from the 8th desolate world stood no chance. The mortal division of 9 states emerged unbeaten. Congratulations, Brother Zhang. 9 states has won the first round. Master Qian's attempted to maintain a pleasant expression as he congratulated them. Chapter 627, We just have a good relationship with spiritual treasure. Next, we're moving on to the Qi cultivation stage competition. Zhang Li calls a young cultivator to the stage. The young cultivator, holding a long spear, gets onto the stage with a face full of excitement upon hearing Zhang Li call out his name. Win, he must win no matter what. His long spear is trembling slightly, aware of the weight of this competition. Having the opportunity to show oneself in front of the human emperor, this is a blessing one might not even receive in several lifetimes. Maybe the old ancestor of the Yin-Yang Heaven Seal would even consider cultivating him. This is a young cultivator from Dao sect, nothing special about him, just that he has a particular bond with his weapon, casually remarks Zhang Li. The Qian Wasteland Lord also calls out a Qi cultivation stage cultivator and confidently introduces, currently your young cultivator is at the 9th level of the Qi cultivation stage. We, on the other hand, are sending out someone of the 10th level. Oh, the 10th level. Zhang Li takes interest. Ever since he fell into the 10th chi cultivation stage after his foundation establishment stage spiritual root awakening, his cultivation was compressed. To achieve foundation establishment is exceedingly difficult for typical cultivators. Every component of the foundation establishment pills is necessary, so some cultivators have researched further potentials in the chi cultivation stage and become the 10th level. We often call such cultivators pseudo-foundation establishment. While the sacrifice is the inability to reach the foundation establishment stage throughout their entire lives, to reach the 10th level of chi cultivation is certainly a step above typical chi cultivation stage. They ought to be content. Zhang Li frowns. He discovers that the cultivator from the wastelands possesses extraordinary talent, possessing dual spiritual roots. Why can't he break through the foundation establishment stage? Did the Qian wasteland lord forcibly promote a promising cultivator to the 10th level in order to win the competition? Upon the start of the competition, the wasteland cultivator goes on the offensive, immediately producing 3 spiritual treasures. The cultivation technique he practiced, called One Heart 3 Uses, allowed him to flexibly control 3 types of spiritual treasures. It was precisely for this reason that the wasteland lord fed this promising cultivator to the 10th level. To be able to control 3 spiritual treasures at the 10th chi cultivation level, even an initial stage cultivator at foundation establishment stage would have to avoid confrontation. The chi cultivation stage is simply the initial stage of spiritual cultivation. No matter how formidable he is not capable of defeating someone wielding 3 spiritual treasures. Control 3 spiritual treasures. Zhang Li raises an eyebrow. The Qian wasteland lord chuckles. Brother Zhang, the competition rules do not state that one can only use 1 spiritual treasure. Are you thinking about making additional rules? Certainly not. That's all right then. The young cultivator on the side of Jojo shows no signs of panic when faced with 3 spiritual treasures. Holding a long spear in one hand, 10 spiritual treasures appear behind him as he charges into battle. Various spiritual treasures such as axes, halberds, hooks, forks, clubs, and poles were unleashed all at once, scaring the cultivators on the wasteland side. How could anyone possibly wield 10 spiritual treasures? Is this thing even human? The wasteland chi cultivation cultivator is slightly flustered at first but soon regain his composure. He is all too aware of how difficult it is to control many spiritual treasures. The cognitive abilities of a chi cultivation stage practitioner are limited. Even if they grew a 3rd head or 6 arms, they would at most be able to control 3 spiritual treasures. To control 10 spiritual treasures would seem terrifying, but in reality, it's only blustering PFFT. None of the 10 spiritual treasures care about what the other party is thinking. They cooperate with each other and ruthlessly attack, knocking away the 3 spiritual treasures the opponent was controlling. The wasteland chi cultivation cultivator is struck dumb. Even with personal experience, he couldn't believe it. 10 spiritual treasures were controlled more flexibly than the 3 he held himself. Impossible, but reality lands a harsh blow on his face. The 10 spiritual treasures had attained a spiritual intelligence. They didn't require control to be able to battle. This small cultivator from Dao sect came from a rich and prominent family. He had been accompanied by spiritual treasures since childhood and loved them very much. Upon the spiritual treasures attaining spiritual intelligence, they treated this small cultivator extremely well. If it weren't for the internal competition rules within Dao sect that a person could only use 1 spiritual treasure, this small cultivator would have long been Dao sect's top performer in chi cultivation. The wasteland chi cultivation cultivator fights back fiercely, gripping his spiritual treasure and battling the small cultivator from Dao sect. His blade plunges toward the chest of the Dao sect small cultivator, only to be blocked by his opponent's chest-protecting mirror. He then stabs toward the lower abdomen, but the chest-protecting mirror moves to block this attack as well. No matter how the wasteland chi cultivator strikes, the chest-protecting mirror is always able to move quickly to block the attack. Just as he was unsure of how to strike, the 10 spiritual treasures appeared behind him, shooting him straight out of the ring. The Qian wasteland lord could not believe it, nor did he understand the scenario he just witnessed. Spiritual intelligence appears in spiritual treasures. Could it be possible that even these low-grade spiritual treasures have developed it? Shouldn't only immortal artifacts be capable of developing spiritual intelligence? We get along quite well with our spiritual treasures, Zhang Li casually explains. Not saying more, he motions with his mouth, indicating that the competition should continue. The wastelands only sent forward 2 people to gather intel in advance. They spent 3 days collecting just the various tales about Zhang Li and another 2 days investigating related matters. They did not yet have time to inspect the matter concerning spiritual treasures. The numerous and varied reports from JoJo were difficult to separate fact from fiction, further complicated by the manipulation of the three presiding powers. On account of this, the Wastelands spent 5 days on a secret investigation but obtained very little useful intelligence. The competition was still in progress, with the Wastelands side continuing to send out 10th stage Chi cultivation competitors. These 10th stage competitors each had unique abilities in certain areas. Some could control fire, some possessed immense strength, and others were adept in illusion techniques. Regardless of the situation, nothing could withstand the assault of several spiritually aware spiritual treasures happening all at once. In fact, with regard to the Chi cultivation period competition, JoJo was at a disadvantage. Useful for not only ordinary people but Chi cultivation cultivators, the 5 elements Chi cultivation upper section became widely practiced. After the spread of the cultivation technique, most cultivators stuck at the 9th level of Chi cultivation were able to progress to the foundation establishment stage. Now left over are the cultivators at the 9th level, either newly promoted or those desiring to accumulate more experiences, resulting in a decline in the overall quality of the 9th level of Chi cultivation stage cultivators. When everyone's cultivation level collectively increases, there will inevitably be some problems, such as the scarcity of low-level cultivators. Having won the Chi cultivation group category, JoJo then starts the foundation establishment stage competition. What shocks the 8 Wasteland Lords is that the foundation establishment stage cultivators of JoJo not only use spiritually aware spiritual treasures to fight, but also cultivate their divine senses to attack. There can only be one outcome when a cultivator who can cultivate divine senses fights against one who cannot: sheer suppression. One of the Wasteland Lords jumps up, questioning loudly, "Isn't it only once you reach the nascent soul stage that you can cultivate divine senses? How can your foundation establishment stage cultivators already do it?" The Qian Wasteland Lord orders, "Kun Wasteland Lord, sit down." Are you implying that JoJo is cheating? Kun Wasteland Lord is unwilling, but due to the Qian Wasteland Lord's dignity, he can only sit down. Once upon a time, Zhongli and Jade hidden by Hongtu had speculated on the clouds. Combining powers of the 5 elements, they discovered that as long as they make use of spirit plants and spirit grass that contained 5 element properties, they could start cultivating their divine senses in advance. Moreover, the price of spirit grass and spirit plants with 5 element properties was cheap, affordable for any foundation establishment stage cultivator. Currently, every foundation establishment stage cultivator has already begun cultivating their divine senses, improving their learning abilities. Accordingly, their level of spiritual cultivation is also increasing. The foundation establishment stage cultivators sent by the Wastelands have been carefully selected. After severe internal selection, the final 11 outstanding cultivators were chosen. On the side of JoJo, however, they simply chose 11 cultivators who were in the later phase of the foundation establishment stage casually. The thing about it is, Zhongli thought quite simply that anyone he sent would win. There was no need to spend time meticulously selecting participants. It was an utter waste of time. The Qian Wasteland Lord comes to the grim understanding that JoJo has directly surpassed them with their cultivation progress. How are they supposed to compete with that? Chapter 628, Probing Each Other. The more Qian explored the intelligence of the 9 provinces, the more he felt the unpredictability of the 9 provinces. Facing the 9 provinces, he, who possessed the unbridled power of a peak transcendence tribulation stage, felt his heart tremble. As expected of the 9 provinces, even if its strength is slightly inferior to when it was still containing the heavenly ascension ladder, its foundation is enough to intimidate anyone. However, we of the 8 desolates are not to be trifled with either. Qian, the master of the desolates, murmured to himself, calculating something. Now it's the golden core stage. The expression of the master of the desolates did not change, everything was as usual. They had already lost 3 sets in the 7, so winning or losing was no longer important. The important thing was how much information they could gather about the 9 provinces through this competition, to prepare for what's to come next. What does it matter to lose one game and lose face in the face of the bigger picture? The one who laughs to the end will always be the winner. The golden core stage disciple that we are going to send is not just ordinary, he possesses a yin-yang golden core, a 2-colored core that spins, invincible among its peers. The master of the desolates said with pride. The yin-yang golden core can resist a divine sense attack, and it can also greatly weaken the attack of a spiritual treasure. Thus, the advantage of a cultivator from 9 provinces becomes insignificant. Regardless of whether we care about winning or losing, we must win this round. Hearing Qian's boasts, the colors of the faces of those in the body integration realm were strange. Yin-Yang Golden Core, it's indeed impressive. Zhang Li pulled out the Golden Core Compendium and found the corresponding Golden Core type. It detailed the advantages, weaknesses, and cultivation methods of the Yin-Yang Golden Core, which was more than what Qian understood. The Master of the Desolates got a shock. He glanced at the Golden Core Compendium. It was not just the Yin-Yang Golden Core that was recorded on it. There's also the 7-color Golden Elixir, 9-color Golden Elixir, colorless Golden Core, and so forth. The types of Golden Cores completely exceeded his expectations. How many core formation methods did the 9 provinces master? In the field, the cultivators of the 9 provinces who had seen the opponent take out the Yin-Yang Golden Core were somewhat surprised and promptly gave up the idea of using the spiritual treasure and divine sense attack. Who would have thought that anyone would still form their cores according to the textbook? The Golden Core Collection is everywhere in the 9 provinces, and each Golden Core cultivator has a copy. Due to the prevalence of the Golden Core Collection, anyone who wants to form a distinctive Golden Core will use it as a blueprint, modifying the Golden Core style to avoid having the same Golden Core as the one in the book. The Golden Core Collection listed the weaknesses of various Golden Cores. Forming a core according to the book is equivalent to revealing one's weaknesses. Only a fool would do that. Who would have thought there would be someone who forms a Yin-Yang Golden Core that's exactly the same as described in the Golden Core Collection? The Golden Core cultivator of the 9 provinces grinned and made use of the weakness of the Yin-Yang Golden Core as described in the book to defeat his opponent. Who would have thought it would be so easy to win? In preparation for today's match, this Golden Core cultivator had prepared various combat methods, and in the end, none of them needed to be used. The Master of the Desolates couldn't understand the actions of the 9 provinces. Who, after forming a Yin-Yang Golden Core, would not hide it and use it as a trump card to defeat the enemy, yet in the 9 provinces they even assembled various Golden Cores into a volume for printing. Isn't this disclosing secrets voluntarily? Facing the confusion of the Master of the Desolates, Zhang Li said, "What secrets?" After its publication, everyone discusses it together, fills in the gaps together, and perfects its weaknesses. Isn't this more conducive to Golden Core stage cultivation? This Golden Core Collection was also something I helped bring about. The Master of the Desolates listened to Zhang Li's explanation and became even more confused. Being a peerless Mahayana, why care about how the Golden Core stage cultivates? Isn't that too idle? Caring about the weak, is this what a strong person does? If the strong see these as their responsibilities and undertake so many tasks, who would want to be strong? Isn't what the strong seek is absolute freedom? Seeing the Master of the Desolates not understanding him, Zhang Li didn't provide much explanation either. After cultivating to this point, his views on things have already been formed, and they can't easily be explained in a few words. Continuing would only result in endless arguments without any conclusions. Why bother adding to the trouble? The Golden Core stage of the 8 Desolates may have had many tricks, but none of them exceeded the scope of the Golden Core Collection, and the cultivators of the 9 provinces were able to handle them effortlessly. The Master of the Desolates realizes that in terms of experience, they still can't compete with those from 9 provinces. 11 rounds of the Golden Core stage, and the 8 Desolates lost terribly, they didn't win a single match. Spiritual treasures, progress in cultivation, experience, 9 provinces was crushing 8 Desolates in every aspect. Of the 7 sets, 4 have already been won, there's no need to continue. So, do you want to continue? Zhang Li asked with interest, looking at the 8 Masters of the Desolates. They had different expressions, but the other 7 looked towards the Master of the Desolates for his decision. The Master of the Desolates did not appear discouraged due to failure. He smiled and said, "Let's just finish the remaining rounds. Consider it a friendly match." Fair enough, this is in line with my intentions. Zhang Li did not stop them from going on if that's what they wanted. Then it's time for the nascent soul stage. Kong Kong, it's your turn. Zhang Li called out Ji Kong Kong's name. For this competition, Zhang Li had summoned the candidates for Human Emperor from the 10,000 Words World back here. They would continue to build the 10,000 Words World after the competition. Among the candidates for Human Emperor, Ji Kong Kong, Luo Ying, and Luo Zhu started late and were still in the nascent soul stage while the rest had reached the stage of divinity transformation. Fighting against champions from other worlds, this was indeed a rare occurrence. Ji Kong Kong licked her lips, appearing somewhat excited. In the 10,000 Words World, she often challenged various candidates for Human Emperor, with both wins and losses. When Zhang Li wasn't around, she reveled in fighting. Ji held his forehead, feeling that Ji Kong Kong was developing towards being like Yu Yin, becoming a fighting fanatic. She wasn't like this when she was young. Could it be that she enjoys fighting because she is seeking stimulation? Ji Kongkong's eyes were vacant, seeing the future. I see it, I will win. Wait, I looked too far, a little closer. Ji Kongkong knew the opponent's next move and she took out a 9-section whip, whipped it fiercely, causing a crackling sound. The opponent was the most outstanding nascent soul stage cultivator in the 8 Desolates, a closed-door disciple of one of the Desolate Masters, whose combat power was not to be underestimated. The opponent found out that Ji Kongkong seemed to be able to see the future. She could predict in advance, dodge every attack, and hit back, causing him a lot of pain. The 8 Desolate Masters also couldn't figure out what Ji Kongkong had done. They had no knowledge of the Way of Time. In their impression, the Way of Time was a profound thing that only a golden immortal could touch. Ji Kongkong became increasingly brave as the battle continued. As the battle progressed, she simply increased her difficulty level, no longer looking into the future and just directly fighting. Otherwise, winning would be too boring. How did she manage to do that? The Master of the Desolates, who could still see an inkling of the means and differences used before, was now utterly dumbfounded and was unable to figure anything out. Zhang Li just laughed without saying a word. At one end of the jury seats, the 3 masters conveyed their divine sense and discussed softly. Have you guys noticed that sect master Bai Hongtu is particularly quiet today? Right. I felt something was off. I felt a bit uncomfortable. It turns out it was because we were missing the noise made by sect master Bai. Entropy Increase Master sighed at his 2 blind brothers and said, don't you guys see it? Mr. Zhang Li, Sect Master Bai Hongtu, and Queen Yu Yin are not here. What? The Entropy Decrease and Entropy Equilibrium Masters took a look at the trio of Zhang Li, and it appeared they were indeed right here. Entropy Increase Master continued, your observations are still not meticulous enough. The ones sitting here right now, are just their avatars. As for the true forms, if I am not mistaken, they should have gone to the 8 Desolates long ago. While the 8 Desolates were investigating the 9 provinces, the latter were also investigating them, weren't they? Chapter 629, Refugees. The spiritual energy of this 8 Desolate world is so rich, quite comparable to our JoJo. Indeed, under such conditions, it's no wonder that 8 Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivators have emerged. I only heard about some events in the 8 Desolate world before, but didn't pay much attention. Now that I'm here, I realize that the 8 Desolate is a star world. Mortals and cultivators coexist on one planet, and the ruler of the planet, a god transformation stage cultivator, is the Star Master. Regions consisting of life-bearing planets are called star domains. Above the Star Masters are the cultivators we met who are at the body integration realm, known as Domain Masters. The 3 of them, disguised as mortals, landed on the most ordinary life-bearing planet, walking along the royal road to the Imperial City, discussing the information they had just gathered. Domain Masters' territories vary in size, with the number of life-bearing planets they rule ranging from several dozen to hundreds. Above the 100 Domain Masters are the 8 Desolate Masters. By this calculation, the population of the 8 Desolate world is larger than JoJo's, but the proportion of cultivators is quite small. Star Masters, Domain Masters, Desolate Masters, these are the ruling echelons of the 8 Desolate world. As for the 3 immortals mentioned by Qian, there are only some vague legends. Not enough to count as genuine. Zhang Li shook his head. The news from this star was too isolated. There are several countries on this star, and the so-called history books only record the history of these countries. The myths and legends are mainly about the Star Masters, only mentioning Domain Masters and Desolate Masters in passing. They are almost equivalent to 0 in terms of reference value. There is virtually no useful information. Common people use copper coins as circulation currency, and a plain book costs 3 taels of silver. Only the official commercial aristocracy can afford it. Among ordinary people, class is very clear. Farmers remain farmers their entire lives. Without money, they can't afford education, and it's impossible for them to become court officials through imperial examination. On their arrival at the entrance of the Imperial City, they heard a commotion before they could inspect properly. Get out, you eyesore of a lowlife. His Majesty is merciful to let you live outside the city, and yet you overstep and think you can enter the Imperial City. Look at yourselves, dirty as if you've crawled out of mud, not even having a complete set of clothes. What entitlement do you have to enter the city? The city gate guards tossed several refugees out of the city with expressions of disgust, incessantly cursing. Outside the city were not only a few refugees, but thousands upon thousands. They were starving, emaciated, barely clothed, and living in makeshift tents. This situation reminded Zhang Li of the refugees he had seen in the zombie world, striking a high degree of similarity. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin were slightly uncomfortable with this situation. Jojo hadn't seen refugees for thousands of years. Kind soul, please show some mercy. Could you spare a little food for this child? A woman saw Zhang Li and his companions dressed in finery, indicating wealth, and knelt in front of Zhang Li begging for food. The woman was skeletal, barely recognizable as female unless observed closely. She held a child in her arms, who also looked starved. Bai Hongtu squatted down, touching the child's small hand, surprised, this child has a fever. He needs urgent medical attention. But where would the woman have money for medical treatment? Bai Hongtu understood the woman's predicament and took out a medicinal pill, feeding it to the child. The medicine transformed into a stream of water upon entering the child's body, swiftly calming the child's labored breaths. Yu Yin took out food intending to share with the woman and child. Seeing this, a group of refugees surrounded her, reaching for the food. The situation of these refugees was similar to that of the woman. Just as Yu Yin was about to distribute more food, she heard the sound of a gong. Food's ready, food's ready. Hey, 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 you lot over there. If you don't queue up, you won't have a share of today's meal. Upon hearing this, the refugees stopped pestering Yu Yin and hurriedly turned around to grab their broken bowls and queue up at the soup distribution site. The man striking the gong had a loud and clear voice, with a steady gait, clearly having undergone some training. He carried hundreds of pounds of porridge from his trolley without breaking a sweat. The gong striker left his companion to distribute porridge as he approached Zhang Li. Who are you here on behalf of, young master and miss? Careful when handing food out in front of refugees, they might swarm you and rob everything valuable from you. Zhang Li bowed in thanks, thank you for your help, brother. Where did these refugees come from, and why is the court ignoring them? Seeing his polite manner, the gong striker's demeanor softened. I am Feng Chang, the senior brother of Qingfeng Martial Hall. A few months ago, there was a great flood in the south which destroyed crops. In some areas, there was no harvest at all. The court allocated funds, but they were squandered away through corruption. The people in those areas had to leave their homes and come to the imperial city, imploring the court to spare some food. But now, the Huolong sect where the Star Master resides is coming for an inspection, and the court simply doesn't have the time to take care of these people. My kind-hearted master ordered me to distribute porridge here. But our Qingfeng Martial Hall doesn't have a lot of money, the daily porridge is just enough to keep them from starving. Has the Huolong sect done nothing in view of the floods in the south? Feng Chang laughed as if he had heard a good joke, help. Would those esteemed cultivators bother to care about the lives of mortals? Feng Chang sarcastically commented, in my opinion, it won't be long before the court evicts these people 10 miles away from the imperial city under the pretext of maintaining its appearance, preventing them from defiling the eyes of the esteemed Huolong sect master. Everyone knows that His Majesty harbors the ambition to cultivate. It's impossible to practice cultivation with the 5 elements spiritual root, and yet His Majesty wholeheartedly seeks advice from the Huolong sect, praying that they will reveal their cultivation techniques. Feng Chang realized he had spoken too much and quickly shut his mouth, changing the subject. If you gentlemen and lady wish to contribute, you can donate money. We from Qingfeng Martial Hall can act on your behalf, and use the money to buy food. Bai Hongtu took out some gold and handed it to Feng Chang, who was taken aback. You are truly distinguished guests. With this money, the refugees can buy enough food to last until next year's harvest. May I know your names, so that the refugees can express their gratitude? My name is Zhang Li, and these two are Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin. We are cultivators, not from any affluent families. Cultivators. Feng Chang was stunned. In his mind, cultivators were not so approachable. Even the cleaning staff of the cultivation sects, who had only reached the first level of qi cultivation, walked arrogantly here, looking down on those who practice martial arts like him. I see that you have a long and steady breath, with firm steps. You seem to be a martial artist. Would you be willing to discuss martial arts with us? Feng Chang sighed, sounding a bit dejected. There's not much to talk about with martial arts. It's just a facade to scare people. The origins of martial arts can't be traced. It is said that because we can't cultivate due to our 5 elements spiritual root, any attempt at cultivation would merely waste spiritual energy. There were people who were not willing to be oppressed by cultivators their entire lives and thus created martial arts, trying to establish a platform equal to that of the cultivators. Unfortunately, after martial arts was created, we became slaves. Slaves. Feng Chang rolled up his sleeves, showing a blue pattern on his arm. This is the slave mark planted by the Huolong sect. Every martial artist must be marked with it. Anyone found practicing martial arts without the slave mark will be killed on the spot. We are also referred to as martial slaves. Chapter 630, 10th Level of Qi Cultivation. My master is one of the strongest martial artists in this country. He can fight against those in the 9th level of the Qi cultivation stage without losing. But what about that? When facing cultivators he can't defeat, my master still has to lower his head. A slave mark means that we martial artists will be suppressed by cultivators all our lives. I've heard that on other planets, there are people who master martial arts to a very advanced stage, able to fight against those with a golden core, and even at the nascent soul stage. But they too have to bear the slave mark, without any exception. Despite the various restrictions of training in martial arts, Feng Chang doesn't regret his choice. At least it's a guarantee of his basic needs and a high social status among ordinary people. In comparison with ordinary people, he is already considered lucky. We would like to know where the Qingfeng Martial Hall is and see how you practice martial arts. Feng Chang, noticing that porridge has been served, assents and leads Zhongli and the other two back to the martial hall. Master, I'm back, and I've met some good people today. Feng Chang finds his master, who is playing chess with an old man sitting beside him. You are Master Uncle Chu. Little Feng, it's been about 8 or 9 years, right? Here, try some snacks I brought from another country. Master Uncle Chu happily passes Feng Chang a pack of snacks. Thank you, Master Uncle Chu. Little Feng, are these 3 the kind-hearted people you mentioned? Yes, they are. They were very generous and gave a lot of money, enough for the refugees outside the city to live until next year's harvest. I thank you all in advance then. Feng Chang's master stands up to thank Zhongli and the other two. Feng Chang excitedly announces, not only that, but these 3 are also cultivators. Oh, fellow practitioners. Master Uncle Chu gave Zhongli a comprehensive look. He felt a chill, finding that as a 9th level Qi cultivator, he can't see through them. This implies they are at least all at the 9th level of Qi cultivation. Master Uncle Chu is my master's younger brother. He has 3 attributes of spiritual roots and is extremely powerful. Since childhood, he's been taken to the Huolong sect to be a disciple. Master Uncle Chu, in his 30s, is 20 years younger than Feng Chang's master but appears old. His hair and beard are white, and his eyes flicker, avoiding direct eye contact. In contrast, Feng Chang's master, a man in his 50s, has black hair, not a single white strand. His posture is straight, exuding a natural majesty. May I ask what cultivation level the 3 of you are at? Bai Hongtu states, Transcendence Tribulation Stage. This statement startled Master Uncle Chu, and he hurriedly tells Bai Hongtu to be quiet. Don't talk nonsense. You'd have to be a grandmaster to achieve that. It's taboo to exaggerate your cultivation level when outside. If the Huolong sect finds out, they'll accuse you of tarnishing the title of grandmaster, and you'll be sentenced to death. Seeing Master Uncle Chu all panicked, Feng Chang quickly changes the subject. Master Uncle Chu, how long are you planning to stay this time? Master Uncle Chu gives a wry smile. I am not planning on leaving this time. Why, are you not in the Huolong sect anymore? Feng Chang is puzzled. Why would anyone leave the Huolong sect to stay here? Master Uncle Chu closes his eyes. Thinking of his past in the Huolong sect, he sighs. The Huolong sect is not a place for people like me. I can't fight them. I have 3 types of spiritual roots, and my talent is not bad. But look at me, after more than 30 years in the sect, I'm still stuck at the 9th level of Qi cultivation. The reason is that I am too stupid. When I first entered the sect, I thought I was a rare genius, believing that I could surely make a name for myself in the Huolong sect. My seniors and fellow disciples seemed to treat me well. But I never expected that while they treated me well on the surface, they were actually worried that I would catch up in training and take their place. They set many traps for me, and I fell into them. They succeeded. I will never be able to establish my foundation in this life. Master Uncle Chu speaks with a tranquil tone of voice when saying this, but his true feelings are hard to determine. Seeing me crippled, other senior disciples started harboring designs on me, needing the lifespan of cultivators as a primer to refine their spiritual treasures. They continued to extract my lifespan. In one night, I aged for decades. I knelt before the elders of the sect, weeping and pleading for their intervention, but they told me that in this cultivation world, the winner takes all. Me, being a failure along the path, was worthless and there was no need to help. At the same time, I also lost the chance of obtaining a foundation establishment pill. Without the foundation establishment pill, it is impossible to establish my foundation. Zhongli frowned. What does it mean? Do you need a foundation establishment pill to establish a foundation? Chu, the uncle master, was surprised to look at Zhongli, not knowing why he would ask such a question. You have not established your foundation, are you also at the 9th level of qi cultivation like I am? Needing a foundation establishment pill for foundation establishment is common knowledge. The foundation establishment pill is controlled by the sects, and the pill formula is a top secret. Because of this, there are few independent cultivators. If a cultivator wants to achieve something, they must affiliate themselves with a large sect and earn the foundation establishment pill with their devoted efforts. Is this particular to the dragon transformation sect, or is it the same across all 8 desolate lands? Of course, it's the same across all 8 desolate lands. Zhongli understood. The 8 desolate lands monopolize the methods of foundation building, forcing all cultivators to obey the orders of the major sects. Uncle Chu continued. My reason for returning this time is to ask my brother for help to find some medicinal herbs which may help me reach the 10th stage of qi cultivation. Since establishing a foundation would be unattainable, why insist on it? It's better to be a secluded hermit at the 10th stage of qi cultivation in the mundane world. What is this 10th stage of qi cultivation? Bai Hongtu asked. Uncle Chu looked at the 3 of them with a bitter smile. You 3 are enthusiastic and ambitious, of course, you would not encounter problems like mine. Qi cultivation stage 10 is better than those beneath but inferior to those above. Once you achieve the 10th stage of qi cultivation, your cultivation stalls, and the goal of foundation establishment becomes unattainable. This qi cultivation stage 10 has a history of tens of thousands of years. It is said to have been created by cultivators like myself, who are frustrated and unable to achieve what we wanted. We even call it a faux foundation establishment. This is a form of self-ridicule, also a way to amuse ourselves. After this method appeared, no one knows how many 9th stage qi cultivation cultivators chose this irreversible path. Zhongli could see that the reason Uncle Chu couldn't create a foundation was due to a very difficult poison to unravel. He would need various kinds of spirit grass in a delicate ratio to dispel the poison. Even though I had some suspicions, seeing the truth of the 8 desolate lands leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Zhongli shook his head and took out a detoxification pill from his storage ring. Spirit medicine sect's product, cheap and affordable even for those at the 9th stage of qi cultivation. If Uncle Chu was in Jojo area, he would be able to detoxify on the day of poisoning. Uncle Chu hesitated to take the pill, it looked too expensive for him to afford. Detoxification pill, it can clear your poison. Uncle Chu looked at Zhongli suspiciously. His long-term life in the dragon transformation sect made him lose trust in others. Feng Chang's master, seeing this, couldn't help but say, brother, he is clearly more advanced in cultivation than you, what do you have that he could exploit? Uncle Chu still didn't believe it and blurted out, of course, there is. My lifespan can be used to refine artifacts, my body can be refined into zombies, and my soul can be put into a soul-summoning banner. What he said was not baseless. These were all things he saw and heard at the dragon transformation sect. Eventually, Uncle Chu chose to believe Zhongli. He took the pill with trembling hands. Uncle Chu's eyes widened as he felt changes in his body. This is. The pill gave a refreshing feeling. The pill power dissolved and the poison that had been troubling him for many years seemed to have met its natural enemy and disappeared. I can establish my foundation again. Uncle Chu cried out loudly, like a madman. He knelt before Zhongli again, weeping and promising to be eternally grateful. He had been seeking a cure for his poison bitterness for over a decade to no avail. Feeling desolate, he returned to his hometown, giving up on himself. Who would have thought that in his desperation, he would meet a highly skilled person and receive a great fortune? Chapter 631, A Watch. This is a lifespan extension pill. It can extend your life by 100 years. But how long you can really live, it's up to your destiny. The method of foundation establishment isn't just about taking a pill, but if I were to teach you the real method, it could attract unwanted attention. As Bai Hongtu spoke, a few kinds of spirit grass flew out of his storage ring, gathered in his palm, melted into a liquid and solidified into pill form. Making a foundation establishment pill involves just a few things, and it can be created even without referring to the prescription. This is what they referred to as a foundation establishment pill. Although I don't particularly like it, it's the most appropriate for you. Chula, Uncle Chu, lifted both hands overhead to receive the lifespan extension pill and the foundation establishment pill. Seeing this, Bai Hongtu was annoyed and forced his hands back down, saying, your character really isn't suitable for staying in the dragon transformation sect. This time could be a good opportunity for you to stay here as a free and easy loose cultivator. Zhongli and Yu Yin also felt annoyed and restless. They weren't annoyed at Uncle Chu, but rather the sight of refugees, the sight of Feng Chang, and the thought of how many similar scenarios were playing out across the 8 wilderness worlds. Feng Chang's master glanced at his wristwatch and laughed, "It's getting late. Since my dojo doesn't have much food to offer, I'll play host, and treat the 3 of you to a meal at the Shi Bin Lu. As way of thanking you. The thing you're wearing on your hand, is it a wristwatch?" Zhongli noticed the object on Feng Chang's master's wrist, which looked out of place in the surrounding environment. "You 3 also know of this. My younger brother gave it to me when he last visited home. It's truly remarkable, serves the same purpose as a sundial, it's portable and keeps accurate time. I've tried to dismantle it and investigate many times, but my brother stopped me every time, afraid that I wouldn't be able to fix it after." Feng Chang's master took off the wristwatch. "Seeing how the 3 of you have taken an interest in it, please take it as a gift." Zhongli accepted and studied the wristwatch closely and drew a conclusion. A mechanical wristwatch, manually wound. As long as it's not broken, it can be used indefinitely. "Where did you get this from?" Zhongli asked Uncle Chu, his curiosity piqued at the strange symbols on the back of the wristwatch. They weren't in the language of the 8 wilderness worlds, which implied that the wristwatch didn't originate from there. "I saw a servant boy being kicked and beaten by others at the Dragon Transformation sect. I couldn't stand it, so I stepped in and saved him. In gratitude, he gifted me this fascinating object called a wristwatch, which I later gave to my elder brother." "Did the servant boy tell you about his background?" "Yes, he mentioned his name was Chu Langsha, he was a singer, but then suddenly, one day, there were earthquakes and buildings collapsed. He had no idea what was happening, only that the news mentioned the nation deploying weapons called airplanes, tanks, missiles, and nuclear bombs. I didn't quite understand what these weapons were. After that, he was somehow transported to the Dragon Transformation sect and ended as a servant boy. At first, he had a hard time speaking, like he was just learning how to speak, but it's better now, he can speak fluently. When he first arrived, he was a bit crazy. He said that although the language barrier exists, he believed that music could bridge it as all hearts resonates the same. He sang a bunch of unintelligible songs, claimed it was a song of peace, had no effect though. The other servant boys found him annoying and beat him up again. After that, he became more docile. Neither Zhongli nor his 2 companions said anything. Finally it was Zhongli who broke the silence. "Let's go to the Dragon Transformation sect." Feng Chang's master originally wanted to suggest eating first before leaving, but seeing their stern expressions made him uneasy, and in the end, he didn't utter a word to stop them. "Uncle Chu, what are their levels of cultivation? Are they at the foundation establishment stage?" Uncle Chu remained silent for a long time. He thought about their dialogues, and how their words revealed frightening informations. He slowly spoke with seriousness. "Perhaps, they truly are at the Transcendence Tribulation stage." Feng Chang and his master were both shocked. "What? They are wilderness masters?" Uncle Chu didn't say anything more. These 3 may have appeared unsophisticated, but their every word and every action revealed a worldly air that no normal person could possess. Before he descended the mountain, he'd heard that both the Star Lord and the Territorial Lords were selecting cultivators to represent the world in battle against another world. Perhaps these 3 were the powerful cultivators of that other world. Uncle Chu didn't voice out his guesses. He believed that the fewer people who knew about this, the better. Perhaps, can this world really change? Uncle Chu thought to himself and soon shook his head, deeming it impossible. The Dragon Transformation sect was located in the area on this planet with the most dense spiritual energy. Amongst a group of mountains, it spanned a radius of 100 miles, where no mortal was allowed to enter. The trio found Chu Langsha working in the fields when they arrived. Under the scorching sun, wearing a straw hat and laboring with a hoe, his head was bowed in the field. According to Uncle Chu, Chu Langsha was responsible for planting spirit millet for the outer sect disciples of the Dragon Transformation sect. Chu Langsha. Upon hearing his name, Chu Langsha looked up and saw the 3 descending from the sky. Realizing these were revered figures, he was struck by fear and quickly put on a forced smile and rushed over to greet them. Those who could levitate were, no doubt, respected individuals equivalent to inner sect elders. He didn't know why such revered figures would seek him out. Based on his experience, it was unlikely to be good news. "May I know what the 3 elders need of me?" "Don't be nervous, we are from Chu." Zhongli was about to introduce themselves as sent by Uncle Chu, only realizing that he didn't know Uncle Chu's real name. Zhongli had no choice but to simply describe Uncle Chu's appearance. Chu Langsha immediately understood. "You are talking about Chula." But he was confused about how Chula would know such esteemed individuals. However, he felt reassured that these seniors had benevolent intentions, because otherwise, they wouldn't be trying to establish good relations with him through Chula. Chu Langsha rushed to usher the three of them into his thatched cottage. He wanted to pour them some water, but realized he didn't even have 3 cups. Chu Langsha hastily apologized, "It's a bit crude here. Please excuse me." He took off his hat, revealing his brown hair, which was slightly curly. "You are in charge of planting spirit millet, so you should have access to it. With a spiritual root of 4 attributes, why are you only at the 2nd layer of chi cultivation?" asked Bai Hongtu, puzzled. Upon hearing this, Chu Langsha was so frightened that he immediately knelt and kowtowed for mercy. "The 3 elders are wise, I really eat only ordinary grains. I didn't steal any spirit millet. All the spirit millet have been sent to the outer sect seniors." His answer was beside the point, but the 3 understood what Chu Langsha meant. Zhang Li also noticed that Chu Langsha's cultivation technique was severely incomplete and difficult to practice. Coupled with his daily farming duties that left him no time for cultivation, remaining at the 2nd level of chi cultivation was not surprising. Zhang Li didn't dwell on that point and instead asked, "We heard from Chula that you came from another planet. Can you tell us more about how it happened?" When this topic came up, Chu Langsha's smile faded and his ego deflated significantly. It was clear that this was not a pleasant topic for him. However, given that these were questions from the 3 elders, he could only suppress his grief and recount his past. "This happened 10 years ago, I was once a prominent singer." Chapter 632, The Lie of the Qian Desolate Lord. A pop star is a profession that involves being good at singing and having a lot of people listen to your music. Chu Langsha tried his best to explain his past. "There's no need to explain that, we understand." "Oh, then I'll continue. Back then, I was giving a concert. It was my 10th anniversary performance. It was grand and had seen a lot of investments and preparations. I'll forever remember that night. The whole world was shaking, the ground was cracking open, houses collapsed, the crowd was wailing. It felt like the end of the world." The 3 exchanged glances. It seems there had been a collision between the 8 desolate world and Chu Langsha's world. The master had indeed deceived them, hiding many things from them. Claiming they had only bumped into 3 worlds in 6,000 years when in reality, Chu Langsha's world was hit a decade ago and now it collided with Jojo. The frequency of collisions between the 8 desolate world and other worlds was too high. Considering the 8 masters and 100 individuals at the body integration realm that they'd encountered on the borders of Jojo. Qian, the territory master, claimed to have come for aid. But given the ways of the 8 desolate world, how could they possibly be selfless? There was a question though: if the 8 desolate world frequently collided with other worlds, and integrated with them, it should have been much larger by now. Having surveyed the size of the 8 desolate world in the void, it indeed seemed to be the size of 3 to 4 combined worlds. Several silhouettes appeared in the sky above our planet that were breathtaking. Ideally, with that distance, we shouldn't have been able to see human figures clearly, yet we could see these figures quite clearly. It felt as though the moment they appeared, they captivated our vision. I saw fighter jets launched into the sky, challenging the silhouettes above. One of them waved their arm and from their sleeve shot a beam, swiping at the jets, blasting them apart. The nation deployed military forces to combat these figures while we were all herded into air raid shelters. Through the news within the shelter, we learned that the battle situation was not in our favor. These figures were incredibly eerie. None of our attacks had any effect on them. Nuclear weapons, infrasonic weapons, all to no avail. In merely 3 days, our national defense forces, which we had established to combat potential extraterrestrial enemies, were exhausted entirely, yet the enemy did not suffer the slightest injury. Our armies were completely annihilated. The figures scattered across the world. Those who resisted were killed instantly while those who surrendered were thrown into spherical objects and transported to the 8 desolate world. On the route, I saw other spherical objects. When these spheres collided and merged, they were filled with people from other planets. I never thought that the first time I would meet extraterrestrials would be inside a cage. Those of us prisoners were randomly scattered across different planets. I was lucky because I had spiritual roots of 4 types and was chosen by the Black Dragon Territory Master to become a laborer. At first, when I came here, I thought about using my singing to appeal to the sympathies of the sect members until I found out that this was the star domain of the Black Dragon Territory Master, one of the figures. Since then, I completely gave up hope, planning to just live out my life here in drudgery. However, I later discovered that in this sect, from time to time, they would find things from our world. After asking around, I found out that these things were brought back by the sect master. He knew he shouldn't be saying these things to outsiders. This was equivalent to saying that he had a grudge against the Black Dragon Territory Master. Such a reason was enough for him to be executed thousands of times. And his snooping around the sect master, comings and goings were also a taboo. However, as Chu Langsha spoke more, he became more and more enthusiastic, his voice getting louder, finally breaking down as he ended his explanation. He felt that these three people were different from other cultivators and could be trusted. This was an inexplicable kind of trust, and Chu Langsha chose to follow his intuition. Zhang Li sighed, patted Chu Langsha on the shoulder and softly said, "We arrived too late." Chu Langsha was so distraught that he could not speak. Bai Hongtu stood up, "You share a karmic bond with your planet. Let me try and find your world." Bai Hongtu wasn't originally well versed in the way of cause and effect. He learned it from the yin-yang heaven seal after it had gained spiritual wisdom. Bai Hongtu recited an obscure spell and manipulated the way of cause and effect to pull out a white thread from within Chu Langsha, and walked out of the thatched hut and stretched a hand towards the sky, shouting loudly. "Come." A strange thing occurred. The celestial body that appeared like the moon above them stretched out a thread that reached Bai Hongtu's hand, connecting it with the thread from within Chu Langsha. Chu Langsha couldn't see the thread in Bai Hongtu's hands, but when he connected with his home planet, he felt a sense of warmth. Bai Hongtu pointed towards the celestial body in the sky and said, "Your home planet is approximately 700,000 kilometers from here." Chu Langsha was dumbfounded. Yu Yin said, "We are not from the 8 desolate world. We are from another world, the Jojo world. Bai Hongtu and I are at the Transcendence Tribulation stage while Zhang Li is at the Mahayana realm. We want to visit your planet. If you'd like, we can take you along. Would you like to go?" It took a moment for Chu Langsha to understand the implications of the few sentences that Yu Yin spoke. Then, he promptly nodded his head, yes. To the three of them, 700,000 kilometers was but a small leap away. They cloaked Chu Langsha in a protective shield, took a gentle jump, and landed on Chu Langsha's home planet. "But why is your home planet so close?" Bai Hongtu couldn't understand. Neither could Chu Langsha. "I have a theory," said Zhang Li. "The territory master of Qian said that the 8 desolate world only collided with 3 worlds, right?" "Yes. Suppose the 8 desolate world collided with a world multiples times and integrated with it, would it only be as large as it is now?" "No. Then is there a possibility that after the 8 desolate world collides with a world, it could separate the worlds?" Bai Hongtu opened his eyes wide. "You mean the 8 desolate world collides with other worlds, moves their planets to its domain, and then separates the worlds?" "Yes, that's what I mean." Yu Yin was also nodding. Zhang Li's hypothesis had resolved a doubt in her mind. What the 8 desolate world benefits from other worlds should include not only their planets and people, but also their spiritual energy. Don't you find it odd that the spiritual energy in the 8 desolate world is so abundant? According to our records, while there is indeed a lot of spiritual energy in the 8 desolate world, it is still not equal to that of Jojo. But now, the 8 desolate world has expanded 4 times its size, and its spiritual energy concentration did not decrease but instead increased to match that of Jojo. The 8 desolate world plunders spiritual energy from other worlds and then separates from them, resulting in an increase in its spiritual energy concentration. Bai Hongtu nodded, thinking what Yu Yin said was very reasonable. Zhang Li, however, looked puzzled. Isn't energy created from nothing? Why would they need to steal from other worlds? Yu Yin rolled her eyes at Zhang Li. "All right, we know you advanced to the Mahayana stage through the creation of energy from nothing. You don't need to keep highlighting it." Zhang Li wanted to say something more, but then Bai Hongtu said, "Let's explore this planet. It seems there might still be survivors here." Zhang Li was helpless and finally stopped talking. Chapter 633. The Dragon Falls to the Ground. The home planet of Chu Langsha was overrun with yellow, withering weeds, and a suffocating blanket of yellow sand rolling in omnidirectionally. Here, there was destruction everywhere. Shattered walls, collapsed buildings, and pockmarked ground were all traces left by shellfire. There were also bisected buildings, sliced cleanly as if someone had cleaved them open from top to bottom with a giant blade. Signs of magic left by the monks appeared to outnumber the marks of bombardment, hinting at the overwhelming nature of the war. This planet had become a dying star, yet traces of human activity were still evident. Not far from Zhang Li, a group of survivors trudged along. They were garbed in masks for protection, huffing and heaving as they combed through stores, supermarkets, and shopping centers in the search for food. It had been a decade. Apart from specially preserved rations, no other edible food could possibly exist. And these survivors were seeking those specially preserved rations. "Quickly, hurry up, find it." Be quiet. If the mutated creatures discover us, we're done for. The squad leader whispered in a hushed tone, urging his team and subconsciously gripping his assault rifle tighter. He wore a radar-like device on his wrist, about the size of a plate, which could detect nearby mutated creatures. Every resource-gathering expedition came with high risks, which seemed to escalate with each venture. To fight off the invasion from the 8 wilderness, this planet had depleted all its nuclear arsenal. But it had been useless against the monks of 8 wilderness. The radiation from the nuclear weapons spread across the planet. Some of the fauna died upon exposure, others weakened, while some mutated and became even stronger. These stronger, mutated beasts were known as the mutated creatures. Their presence was what had made human survival increasingly challenging in the last decade. The mutated creatures were many times stronger than they had been 10 years ago. Suddenly, the leader's expression changed. The life radar was flashing a red alert. 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. A total of 20 red dots appeared around them. They were surrounded by mutated creatures. Everyone on guard. According to our prior plan, the older ones cover, and the younger ones escape first. Hide in the nearest air raid shelter. Remember, do not leave the shelter within a month. The leader roared, his eyes blazing red. He prepared to confront the mutated creatures, intending to buy time for the younger members of the team. The mutated creatures emerged from the yellow sand: bears, lions, tigers, wolves, dogs, cats. The leader could just about discern their original forms. However, the mutated creatures were many times larger than their original forms and far more lethal. The mutated creatures sported sharp claws and yellow fur. They were adapted to survive in the harsh conditions, their double eyelids shielding their eyes from the sand, and their paw pads allowing them to walk without making any noise. Fire! At the leader's command, everyone began to fire their weapons. The leader aimed carefully, targeting the creatures' eyes. The rest of the team, less skillful, sprayed bullets indiscriminately. The leader was an excellent shot, capable of hitting his target. But the mutated creatures relied on more than just their eyesight for hunting. Blind them, and they still had hearing, smell, and touch. The primal nature of the mutated creatures was fully manifest on this desolate planet. Due to their thick fur, the bullets only caused minor pain to the beasts, and bladed weapons were similarly ineffective. Triggered by the pain from the bullets, the creatures were enraged. Roaring in unison, they charged at the survivors. Just when hope seemed lost for the survivors, the mutated creatures in midair suddenly froze, as if bound by invisible ropes, writhing desperately to no avail. The life radar flashed an alert again, showing a red dot approaching them. "You're not too late." His voice came first, calm, soft, and quite out of place in this world. "These bulky beasts are interesting. They're not as powerful as monsters but stronger than ordinary beasts. I always love seeing new things." Another voice came, a voice full of interest towards the mutated creatures and immense self-confidence. "Stop standing around, just for the sake of making a grand arrival with your voices." A third voice chimed in, cold as perpetual winter and devoid of life. "Let's get moving." Okay. 4 figures appeared before the survivors. The life radar registered only 1, but there were 4 people present. The life radar was naturally picking up Chu Langsha. Chu Langsha. The survivors were surprised to recognize the famous celebrity. Some of them were even his fans. But in this era, meeting a celebrity wasn't particularly exciting. The survivors were unaware that Chu Langsha had been taken to another planet, otherwise, meeting him now would have triggered quite a reaction. "It's me." Chu Langsha was ecstatic to see his fellow survivors and began to recount his experiences of the past years. Meanwhile, Zhongli and the others were examining the mutated creatures. "A product of nuclear radiation, huh? That's new to me." Zhongli studied the mutated creatures as though they were just livestock, doubting if they'd make a good meal. From the moment Zhongli noticed this planet, he had shrouded it in his divine sense. Any mutated creature attempting to attack the survivors was rendered motionless. They stood like statues. "Whether it tastes good or not, I don't know. But I know that if you cook it, it definitely won't. Go away." As Zhongli squabbled with Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin watched on coolly. While they squabbled, Chu Langsha relayed his story to the survivors. They finally understood who their enemy was and why the universe they saw now so drastically differed from their memory. It turned out a collision of worlds had occurred. Their planet, manipulated by an unfathomable force, had been transported to a world known as 8 Wilderness. And Zhongli and his companions were from the world called Jojo. Struggling to grasp the concepts of a world collision, self-enhancing cultivation, 8 Wilderness, and Jojo, and it was too immense for the survivors. Despite having met the three strangers, they couldn't comprehend the powers being talked about. Are they really as strong as you say they are? Could they defeat the adult dragon god? The leader asked Chu Langsha hesitantly. Adult dragon god? Chu Langsha gasped, taken aback. Although his cultivation was weak, he had spent 10 years in a major sect. He knew that an entity referred to as the adult dragon god could not be inconsequential. Yes, after the catastrophe, we, the survivors, kept in contact. We heard about the adult dragon god, a monster who brought disaster wherever he went. The only way to appease him is to offer human sacrifices and to present him with technology that intrigues him. At first, we didn't believe it. But after seeing the adult dragon god's wrath from a distance, and finding no survivors at the shelter when the dragon god was gone, we started believing. What does the adult dragon god look like? A giant blue snake with 4 claws, but no horns. We were scared out of our wits, so we didn't see much else. Isn't this the sovereign of Huan Long Star? Upon hearing this, Chu Langsha immediately knew the identity of the adult dragon god. The sovereign of Huan Long Star was a Jiaolong at the divinity transformation stage. Chu Langsha hastily informed Zhang Li of the situation. Zhang Li, however, seemed rather relaxed and even found it amusing. Talk about a coincidence. The sovereign of Huan Long Star is here on this planet too, and he arrived earlier than us. Where is he? Right above our heads. Chu Langsha looked up, and the sky suddenly darkened. A blue Jiaolong was entwining in the sky, blocking out the sun. The blue Jiaolong slithered its tongue, speaking in human language. Humans, present technology that I have not seen before. Otherwise, you all will serve as my next meal. The survivors trembled with fear. The adult dragon god was here, before them. Good. Saves us the trouble of searching. Come down here. Zhang Li made a gesture towards the sky, and the Jiaolong descended towards the ground. Chapter 634. The method to drive the domain shift array. The master of the Dragon Transformation Star had a keen interest in technological products, so he specifically requested the Black Dragon Territory Master to keep other technologically advanced planets within his vicinity, allowing him to explore them whenever he wished. The number of survivors on this planet was too few. It was too time-consuming and laborious to gather them for sale, making it not worthwhile. In fact, he preferred to treat them as his playthings. He styled himself as the adult dragon god, acting as he pleased on this planet. Seeing the individuals trembling in fear, he felt satisfied. The sight that pleased the Dragon Transformation Star Master the most was offering people a glimmer of hope before crushing it. However, he hadn't been interested in anything in particular recently. The technological products on the planet had been nearly exhausted, so it no longer had any value worth exploring. He decided to give the foolish survivors one last chance. If they cannot find any interesting technological products, he might as well destroy the planet and take out its star core. The survivors certainly couldn't lie. If the adult Black Dragon Territory Master became aware that he was reigning supreme here, proclaiming himself to be the dragon god, he would be done for. Upon discovering traces of the survivors, he revealed his true form, a giant dragon, hovering in the air to instill fear. Humans. Before he could finish his sentence, an unknown force choked him and pinned him down. Who? The Dragon Transformation Star Master's enormous dragon form laid prone on the ground, his snake eyes coldly glaring at whoever was responsible. The Black Dragon Territory Master was the proudest steed amongst the 8 Desolation Masters, and he was the Black Dragon Territory Master's most effective subordinate. Under such a stature, who dared to defy him? No other Territory Masters would even treat him like this out of respect for the Black Dragon Territory Master. Your grandpa Bai Hongtu stepped heavily onto the Dragon Transformation Star Master's mouth, causing a tooth-shattering collision. The Dragon Transformation Star Master couldn't even roar. The survivors could hardly believe that such a colossal creature was rendered completely powerless before these 3 individuals. What a timely encounter, you are so considerate. Who are you? I am a subordinate of Black Dragon Territory Master. Seeing the 3 unfamiliar faces, an inexplicable panic seized the Dragon Transformation Star Master's heart. Black Dragon Territory Master, even if the 8 Desolation Masters stood before me, they wouldn't dare to speak as loudly as you are. Zhang Li sneered at the sight of the effrontery. His impression of the 8 Desolations was downright negative. His intuition told him that there were still secrets behind the 8 Desolations. You are the 3 immortal ancestors. No, you are in the Transcendence Tribulation stage from the 9 provinces. The Dragon Transformation Star Master quickly put 2 and 2 together. He knew that the 8 Desolations and the 9 provinces had collided, but the 8 Desolation Masters did not invade the other world as usual. Just yesterday, the Black Dragon Territory Master sent out a message saying that each planet should select outstanding talents to represent the 8 desolations in the competition in the 9 provinces world. The Dragon Transformation Star Master sent his direct disciple over there. Provided there were no surprises, he would be eliminated in the first round of the internal selection process in the 8 desolations. The talent pool of the planets he managed was sparse. Worried about his direct disciple surpassing him, he always kept things a secret, never wholeheartedly instructing him. Given the treatment of his direct disciple, it goes without saying that it applies to the other cultivators. He sent his disciples there just for the sake of it, not attaching much importance to the confrontation with the 9 provinces. He never expected the Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivators of 9 provinces to come here and inadvertently cross paths with him. These 3 were not hiding their murderous intent, and it came down to one solution now. I beg you, do not kill me. Whatever you want to know, I will tell you everything, just spare my life. The Dragon Transformation Star Master knew the 8 desolations were formidable, and if the 8 desolations did go to war with the 9 provinces, the 8 desolations would surely win. However, how does it concern him? He was about to die. After all, the strength of the 8 desolations was not his strength. Tell me everything. Then tell me, how many worlds has the 8 desolations collided with over the last 6,000 years? I don't know that. Bai Hongtu released the Transcendence Tribulation Stage's aura, imposing it over the Dragon Transformation Star Master. The Dragon Transformation Star Master immediately coughed up blood, quickly explaining, actually, there have been too many worlds collided with that we've simply lost count. And that's not even mentioning the collisions that happened before I was born. Then how do you move the worlds? There's not much I know about it. It's just that the 8 Desolation Masters have set up their Desolation Master temples on the boundary walls in accordance with the Bagua 8 diagrams. Each Desolation Master temple is responsible for a specific orientation and uses formations to adjust the direction and move the world. Take us to the Desolation Master Divine Temple. Yes. The Dragon Transformation Star Master complied meekly, not daring to defy Bai Hongtu's order. Zhang Li extended a finger, and from it shot a ray of light. The light divided into hundreds of thousands of streams, flying towards all corners of the planet, perforating through the mutated beasts. Zhang Li turned to Chu Langsha and said, "The mutated beasts on your planet have all been eradicated, stay right here for now. Once this is settled, someone will come to assist you." Zhang Li and the others flew towards the boundary wall with the tail of the Dragon Transformation Star Master in their grip. Chu Langsha knelt on the ground, expressing gratitude for their immense kindness repeatedly. He had never expected that there would come a day when he could return. It's right here, the closest Desolation Master Temple, the Qian Position Desolation Master Temple. The Desolation Master Temple was set up on the boundary wall, surrounded by many life-sustaining planets. When Zhang Li scanned these planets with his divine sense, he noticed that the human level here was significantly higher than other places. There were martial artists capable of dueling golden cores, there were territory masters residing here, and the theories of cultivation were also more transparent and comprehensible. All 8 Desolation Masters were concentrated at the Qian Position Desolation Master Temple to select cultivators, so the Qian Desolation Master was not in the temple. The Desolation Master Temple was protected by a formation, and without the Qian Desolation Master's permission, no one could enter. Originally, Zhang Li thought of smashing it with a single punch, but Bai Hongtu happened to glance at it and cracked the formation, not allowing Zhang Li the opportunity to demonstrate his power. The Dragon Transformation Star Master was not qualified to enter the Desolation Master Temple and knew nothing about its layout. Zhang Li released his divine sense and located the formation that moved the world. Bai Hongtu furrowed his brows, feeling that something was amiss with the formation, but he couldn't put his finger on what it was. He sat cross-legged on the ground, contemplating it. The formation to move the world was extremely complex, and nobody in the 9 provinces had investigated this issue. It was a completely new field. Half an hour later, Bai Hongtu opened his eyes, displaying a hint of confusion. The method of activating this formation seems not to be the infusion of spiritual energy. The other issues had been made clear, but this was the only part that still troubled him. "Senior, you have good vision." The Dragon Transformation Star Master tried to cajole him. This formation is called the World Translocation Great Formation. To activate it, spiritual energy is not what is needed, but merit. "What, are you talking about merit?" Bai Hongtu's voice abruptly heightened. Zhang Li and Yu Yin also frowned. As expected, the 8 desolations were not as simple as they seemed. There were probably no truths in what the Qian Desolation Master told them. The Dragon Transformation Star Master didn't understand Bai Hongtu's reaction and relayed what he knew to prove his worth. I heard from others that the 8 Desolation Masters can obtain merit through killing. Every time they collided with another world, the 8 Desolation Masters would go on a rampage, killing a batch of people, to obtain merit. This replenishes the merit consumed by activating the World Translocation Great Formation. This way, the merit would never deplete and there would even be some surplus. However, this might all be rumors. I've killed so many people and I have never acquired any merit. Chapter 635, Full of Evil. Killing people to gain virtue. The 3 of them were quite familiar with that, particularly Zhang Li, who was the first to learn about it. Heavenly Tao's incarnation, respected God Hidden cult. Have you ever heard of the term, God Hidden? Zhang Li stared into the eyes of the transformed Dragon Star Master. The transformed Dragon Star Master shook his head in confusion. That made sense. If even those at the divinity transformation stage knew about the respected God Hidden, they would likely already be on a murderous rampage. Zhang Li speculated that only the Baron's Master and the Immortals would know. Therefore, what Qian the Baron's Master mentioned about the storage ring of immortal strength was highly questionable. There may not even be a storage ring of immortal strength, it is the 8 Barons that use the power of virtue to transform into immortal strength, become immortals. How many worlds have these animals collided with and how many people have they killed? Zhang Li had a murderous impulse. It was still unclear how many people were involved in the 8 Barons' destruction of other worlds. Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin were silently grinding their teeth, unable to suppress the killing intent in their hearts. They had come to the 8 Barons because they found Qian the Baron's Master suspicious and wanted to investigate. They didn't expect things to become more complicated and murderous with every step they took in their investigation. Where is your immortal ancestor? I don't know. The immortal ancestor is missing, and it is not within my humble knowledge. What did you do after colliding with other worlds? The territory masters formed groups of 3 or 5 and went to various planets to investigate. It was said that they had encountered advanced cultivation civilizations before. Once, a territory master descended on a cultivating true star and was killed by the natives there. In order to avoid such incidents, the territory masters started to act in teams. If they are not interested, they would casually destroy the planet. However, if they are interested, they would have their way with the planet. When there are too many planets to deal with and the territory master is unable to make it, then it is our turn, the Star Masters, along with the Nascent Soul, Golden Core, and Foundation Establishment Cultivators. We travel across the universe on the star compass to other planets and commit invasions. Zhang Li asked with a grim smile. Oh, is that so? The transformed Dragon Star Master didn't quite understand the meaning behind Zhang Li's words. He felt that there was nothing wrong with what he had said, so he went on. Yes, upon our arrival on those planets, we faced resistance. I must admit, the technology of mortals does have its cunning ways which can pose a threat to us. We lost quite a few people during the invasion process, but when compared to the gains, these losses were tolerable. After all, sometimes, in the course of fighting over resources, there are internal conflicts among planets. The number of cultivators who were killed or injured far exceeded this number. After our successful occupation, we begin to reap the benefits of the war. Although we cannot kill people to gain virtue, we can perform a blood sacrifice and refine mortals into weapons to level up. This process varies from 1 month to a year depending on the technology of the mortals and their population. I heard that back when the Ascension ladder still existed, the population of the 8 Barons was limited. Thus, we couldn't go on a massive killing spree. We had to leave some behind, otherwise we would run out. But now, we can collide with any world we want and kill as we please. After we level up our weapons and reach a cultivation bottleneck with surplus mortals, we pack up the mortals and send them back to the 8 Barons. They either become servants or blood slaves. These mortals are all resources. While one mortal may not be worth much, a large number of them can fetch a good price. Therefore, whenever we, the Star Masters, take people to other worlds, we compete for opportunities. For instance, I seized an opportunity 10 years ago to go to the world of Dawn and made a fortune. Actually, I have a proposal that might not suit your fancy. Would you 3 elders be willing to hear it? Speak, Zhang Li expressed with no emotion. The name of the 9 provinces is known by all. There are so many worlds in the 10,000 realms. Why don't the 9 provinces ally with the 8 Barons to invade other worlds together and establish an unprecedented dominion? Don't you feel guilty about killing so many mortals? The transformed Dragon Star Master thought Zhang Li was testing his ruthlessness. That he could answer without even thinking. Who among those who have cultivated to the divinity transformation stage doesn't have the will to become immortal, hands stained with blood? If cultivators are not ruthless and cruel, how can they cultivate to become immortals? In response to the elder's question, since the day we cultivators embarked on the path of cultivation, bathed in spiritual energy, reborn, we have become a different species from the mortals. To us, mortals are no more than a swarm of ants. How can there possibly be a burden of guilt in crushing a swarm of ants? The transformed Dragon Star Master thought there was nothing wrong with his statement. He believed that the three elders shared the same belief, and were even more ruthless than himself. After all, the higher the level of cultivation, the more people have been killed. Righteous path. In his eyes, there was no such concept as the righteous path. Does the 8 Barons have any other planets from other worlds? The transformed Dragon Star Master was delighted, thinking that this elder was interested in his proposal and wanted to inspect it personally. Yes, yes, if this matter could be accomplished, he would become a great contributor to the 8 Barons. Under the guidance of the transformed Dragon Star Master, the 3 of them passed through dozens of planets, each coming from different worlds. How often does the 8 Barons collide with other worlds? Between 10 to 30 years. Look at this, it's a planet left over from a collision 80 years ago. It's a gas planet. The human race lived in the clouds, which was very interesting. The people on it have either been killed or sold to various places in the 8 Barons. There are still some ingenious technologies left behind by the natives and animals that live in the clouds. The Black Dragon Territory Master found it interesting, so he kept it. And this planet was left behind after a collision 160 years ago. The people here lived in the mantle and had extremely high body temperatures. They are very suitable for refining the cultivation techniques of the fire attribute. A Star Master used 100,000 of them to refine a soul-summoning banner. Whenever the soul-summoning banner appears, it shoots up raging flames, too hot to approach. It's used for both offense and defense, which is truly enviable. The Dirty Fire Territory Master kept this planet. This is a landmass, with quite a few cultivators, among them was one at the Transcendence Tribulation stage, possess formidable strength. The Immortal Ancestor directly took action, and this Transcendence Tribulation stage didn't stand a chance. We plundered cultivation techniques and spiritual energy here, and also some good infants, we got quite a harvest. The continent is called 100 Flower Continent, the Immortal Ancestor liked the name, so he kept it in the 8 Barons. The transformed Dragon Star Master grew more excited as he spoke, completely oblivious to the exceedingly gloomy expressions of the 3 people. That'll do. The transformed Dragon Star Master was taken aback. There are still many places that I haven't introduced. I said that'll do. Bragging about your evil deeds, it's nauseating. Zhongli grabbed the transformed Dragon Star Master by the throat, his eyes full of murderous intent. He was going to die. The transformed Dragon Star Master realized that his life was at an end. These 3 elders were actually angry because he had killed too many people. Wasn't killing many people a badge of honor? No, 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 those evil deeds have nothing to do with me. Even if I didn't kill them, other Star Masters would. I just happened to be there. Zhongli showed no emotion as he stripped the flesh from the bones of the transformed Dragon Star Master and scraped off his scales layer by layer. The transformed Dragon Star Master writhed in pain and screamed endlessly. Bai Hongtu drew out the Luoyu sword, and one slice at a time, he began to cut the transformed Dragon Star Master starting from his tail. A strong will to survive made the transformed Dragon Star Master repeat that he was innocent over and over again. Now, only a quarter of his body remained. Zhongli gave a cold smile. If you are innocent, then let the underworld deduct my virtues. Having said this, he crushed the transformed Dragon Star Master's head. After the transformed Dragon Star Master's death, a strand of golden flame appeared on Zhongli's finger. Yu Yin gave a cold laugh. The distribution of the power of virtue this time is quite fitting. Chapter 636, Calculations of the 8 Desolations. What should we do now? Do we kill those 8 beasts directly? Bai Hongtu gnashed his teeth, burning with anger. No, there are still 3 immortals who haven't shown up yet. Qian Desolation Master proposed the competition. He must have an intention, perhaps he is just stalling for time, waiting for those 3 immortals to make their move. We should just watch and see what happens. According to the time, the 8 Desolation Masters should be setting off soon, let them give us a ride. The 3 of them concealed their aura and went to the Qian Position Desolation Master Temple. At this moment, the prodigies from the 8 desolate lands had all gathered here, set to showcase their skills in front of 9 provinces and to win the attention of the Desolation Masters. The next 5 days would be the busiest for the 8 desolate lands. Selecting the strongest practitioners to represent them in the war was a monumental task. Practitioners displayed their divine skills, scheming against each other, resorting to cunning, secret attacks, and stepping over the bodies of their competitors to obtain the qualifications to go to battle. Monsters and demons, too many to guard against. The battles beneath the stage were even more splendid than those on the stage. They were putting the words, overt and covert struggles, to the extreme. A black dragon circled the palace, emanating the fluctuation of body integration aura. Qian Desolation Master stood at the head of the dragon and lightly gave out an order. The helmet has the ability to obstruct aura. Everyone put on your helmets. Do not let the people of 9 provinces see our true colors. The prodigies of the 8 desolate worlds put on their helmets, making it impossible to identify each other. Zhang Li and his companions also put on their helmets, blending into the crowd. Come on, let's go. The remaining 7 Desolation Masters suddenly appeared, standing at the dragon's head, and all the geniuses, with excited hearts, sat on the back of the Black Dragon. The Black Dragon Territory Master is a mount exclusive to the Qian Desolation Master, and they were fortunate to be able to ride it. With a real dragon as his mount and roaming in the universe, the Qian Desolation Master had the upper hand in the competition between the 2 realms. The Zhen Desolation Master and the Dui Desolation Master had already returned from the 9 provinces, bringing with them a massive amount of intelligence. They knew almost everything there was to know about the 9 provinces. Apart from other things, the most important are the Human Emperor, the Earth Veins, and the Immortals of the 9 provinces. This legend about Zhang, the Human Emperor, is quite interesting. It is said that he is proficient in all kinds of fairy arts, supreme in the sword Dao. With a single sword, he can shatter the space and reveal the long river of time. He is unmatched in artifact refining and can refine the whole world of 9 provinces into something to play with in his palm. There is even a legend that his cultivation has reached a state that is unspeakable and unimaginable. He supposedly has the ability of 3 lives in 1, with no past life, no future life, only cultivation in this life. How ignorant the cultivators of the 9 provinces are. They are trying to elevate this Zhang, the Human Emperor, to the height of the Dao ancestor. This Zhang, the Human Emperor, also allows rumors to spread. He really doesn't know he's courting death. He probably doesn't know that some things, even if they are just rumors, can offend big shots. It's a complete nonsense. Such garbage intelligence reported to the immortal realm will only make the immortals think that we are incompetent, wasting time for nothing. The most important thing is that we need to report the matter of the Earth Veins to the immortal realm. The Earth Veins are not simple. Judging from the current information, it is very likely to be the initial form of the Earth Veins mentioned by Lu Wu, the immortal. I don't know which immortal is in charge of the 9 provinces, but they are in big trouble. Qian Desolation Master revealed a faint smile. He knew that the one thing that the immortal realm dreaded most was the appearance of embryonic forms of heavenly Dao. Whoever was in charge of the territory where the embryonic form of heavenly Dao emerged would be doomed without a place of burial. Their 8 desolate lands had fantastic luck. Every just a few hundred years, an immortal ascended to the immortal realm, earning them quite the reputation. Among all the immortals, the most powerful was Lu Wu, who ascended to the immortal realm 40,000 years ago. After Lu Wu had ascended to the immortal realm, he fought all the way to become a heavyweight in the world of immortals, a well-known golden immortal. Not only that, but Lu Wu was also part of the immortal emperor's lineage and had profound roots. What was even more worth talking about was that a golden immortal had once died by the hand of Lu Wu. Yanluo, the immortal venerable, spoke some rebellious words in private, and after Lu Wu heard about it, he reported to the immortal emperor. Enraged, the immortal emperor executed Yanluo the immortal venerable. Even though it was an indirect kill, it was still quite remarkable. 6,000 years ago, Lu Wu came to the 8 desolate lands and told them about the upheaval in the immortal realm. The ruler wanted to destroy all the myriad worlds. As someone from the lineage of the immortal emperor, he could save a world, and he chose to save the 8 desolate lands. But there were conditions. Lu Wu needed them to invade other worlds and identify any products that resembled the embryonic forms of the heavenly Dao. If there were any, they would report to him. If not, they would directly destroy the world, but they had to be careful not to create an embryonic form of the heavenly Dao, otherwise, even he would not be able to protect the 8 desolate lands. Lu Wu also said that the new ruler of the immortal realm was the respected God Hidden, and as long as they worshipped the respected God Hidden, they would receive merits. Destroying the world and preventing the will of sentient beings from forming an embryonic form of the heavenly Dao, this task was not difficult for the 8 desolate lands. As long as they sent practitioners of the body integration realm and below to invade the world, and sustained it for a month to a year, the people of that world would not form an embryonic form of heavenly Tao due to the collective fear of death. Coming across the 9 provinces this time, and discovering the earth veins, was a pleasant surprise. After invading more than 400 worlds, they finally encountered one that had produced an embryonic form of the heavenly Tao, and it was the loathsome 9 provinces. The 9 provinces had always been superior to the 8 desolate lands, which had always been a great annoyance to them. The 8 desolate lands never cared who was on the opposite side of the world, they just bumped into them straight away. After all, they had the backing of golden immortal Lu Wu in the immortal realm, who would they fear? Initially when they gathered their forces, preparing to invade an unknown world, they found that the opposing world was terrifyingly powerful. 8 tribulation crossers, hundreds at the integration stage, for the first time, they found themselves at a disadvantage. When both sides introduced themselves, they found that the other side was actually the 9 provinces, which made them even more anxious. Qian Desolation Master chose to first stabilize the other side, acting like an innocent victim who knew nothing, and talked with the 9 provinces, slowly extracting information about the 9 provinces. We, the 8 desolate lands, have collided with 3 worlds, and the 9 provinces are the 4th world. The reason? I don't know, maybe it's the doing of the immortal realm. Thank you for warning us to be careful of the immortal realm's conspiracy. We are the conspiracy of the immortal realm. What the Qian Desolation Master said about the combination of the 8 desolate lands and the 9 provinces to jointly resist the immortal realm was just a pretext to buy time. He used the preparation of the competition as an excuse, delayed for 5 days, and successfully obtained information about the earth veins. Qian Desolation Master had already reported the matter of the 9 provinces, earth veins to Lu Wu. Lu Wu must have taken some action. Before that, they would use the competition to probe the bottom line of the 9 provinces. The more information they got, the more attention they would get from Lu Wu. If conditions allowed, they might be able to launch an attack in advance and subdue the 9 provinces, wait for Lu Wu to make his move, and further gain Lu Wu's trust. The 3 elderly immortals forbade others from becoming immortals, and anyone who dared to become an immortal would be killed immediately. The previous Qian Desolation Master had tried to become an immortal secretly but was discovered by the 3 elderly immortals and died a terrible death. Perhaps he could become the 4th immortal based on the merits of this event, breaking the monopoly of the 3 elderly immortals and becoming the 4th immortal with the blessing of Lu Wu. Master, we are here. The Black Dragon Territory Master spoke in a human language, interrupting Qian Desolation Master's thoughts. The Qian Desolation Master arrived above the Imperial Palace and bowed his fist in apology. I have kept you waiting. There was something that happened before we set off, which held us up. Of course, the strong ones should make their entrance last, just to make the 9 provinces wait. Chapter 637, Can't Afford to Lose. As the competition progressed, though Qian remained indifferent on the surface, internally, he was seething, wishing to overturn the table and destroy the whole of Jojo right then and there. Never before had Bawang suffered such a massive setback. The Mortal Group, the Qi Cultivation Group, the Foundation Establishment Group, the Golden Core Group, 11 matches in total and not a single victory. I need to keep calm. Great plans can be disrupted by small setbacks. Jojo will inevitably become the focus of the immortal realm. Destruction is inevitable. There's no need to disrupt the grand scheme of things due to continuous embarrassments. The 3 immortal elders have not yet responded, so I must endeavor to endure. Assuring himself of this, Qian knew that the real victor would be the one who laughed last. In the nascent soul group, Jojo has won all of the 11 matches. The judge, in a modulated voice, announced the results of the competition. The judge was Gigi's uncle, who had once left the Great Zhou Empire with Zhang Li, encountering the unassuming pure-heart maiden. The divinity transformation stage competition is starting, representing Jojo as Wu Ji. With prayer beads in hand, Wu Ji stood on the stage reciting Amitabha Buddha. As he rested quietly on the stage, it seemed as if time and space had frozen around him. Seeing Wu Ji, Qian thought he should have an easy win. This monk is only at the early stage of divinity transformation. No matter if he is the master of Mount Sumeru, the match depends on combat effectiveness, not Buddhist law. Jin Yan, you're up. Qian sent out his strongest divinity transformation fighter, who would do whatever it takes to win this match. Jin Yan, the true disciple of Qian, was at the peak of the divinity transformation stage. He was the favored among those in Bawang, acquiring both wind and rain when he wanted, rightfully considered the strongest divinity transformation stage individual. Jin Yan climbed onto the stage with a confident smile. The turning point for the game would start with this round. Such profound Buddhist law. Jin Yan was shocked. As his gaze met Wu Ji's, he felt waves of scriptures in his mind. In Bawang, there were no more Buddhists. Jin Yan had only read about Buddhist tactics in ancient books. Interesting, it's precisely this way, it will demonstrate my strength. Jin Yan was still not afraid. In his eyes, the foundation would decide everything. Compared to a Bun, Buddhist law, which encouraged people's kindness, was of no importance. Let the competition begin. A crowing sound reverberated through the clouds. The sun broke through the thick clouds and fell on Jin Yan's face. Jin Yan's blood boiled, and the sun true fire rose from his body. The sun true fire ignited the spiritual energy, turning the entire ring into a fire field. Jin Yan was not a human but a golden crow. My sun true fire, anything it comes into contact with will burn. Spiritual energy, spiritual treasures, flesh bodies, nothing can escape complete incineration. Jin Yan laughed conceitedly, his victory within grasp. Right away, he used his strongest move to awe Jojo. However, Wu Ji hadn't even batted an eyelid. Murmuring something softly under his breath, a massive figure emerged behind him, effortlessly blocking the sun. Despite the figure's vague appearance, a shadow extended its hand and forcibly pushed down. Under this force, all things evolved and perished incessantly. Whether it was the sun true fire or the golden crow bloodline, all were suppressed. A mouthful of golden blood was spat out by Jin Yan, suppressed to the point where he had no opportunity to fight back at all. All his proud methods had failed. Zhang Li, dressed in a black robe, had a peculiar look on his face. He was also familiar with the vague figure, it resembled Taoist ancestor. Did the Taoist ancestor wake up? Bai Hongtu recognized his ancestor too. This was an incredible event. No, it seems that Wu Ji has obtained some methods from Taoist ancestor. Zhang Li shook his head. If Taoist ancestor had awakened, he couldn't have been so silent. Taoist ancestor will have to separate from Wu Ji's soul using the method of beheading his 3 corpses, so he naturally has to let Wu Ji learn his methods. How else would he carry out the beheading the 3 corpses method? That makes sense. The divinity transformation group is essentially the players for the position of human emperor. When Yuan Wuxing appeared, the 5-colored divine light was developed to a minor degree and it could dissolve all spells. Had he not been careful with his powers, his opponent would have perished with no remains. When Qin Luan appeared, the chi from his 5 organs gathered into 5 thunders. Resplendent thunder light transformed into a weapon that descended, causing a loud explosion, which sent the opponents flying with missing arms and legs. The child of 7 kills repeatedly shouted the word, kill. With every shout, a sword light spewed from his mouth and punctured the opponent's dantian. Yu Yushan originally intended to go easy on the opponent, but after being provoked several times and seeing the lustful thoughts in the opponent's eyes, Yu Yushan couldn't take it anymore. She cast spells of earth prison and stone to gold, and turned her opponent into gold with one breath of Dao technique. On the surface, Li Nianer only seemed in the early stage of divinity transformation, but each of her moves reflected the skills that only those in the body integration realm could use. This makes her equivalent to the early stage of the body integration realm, which contradicts the norm and is beyond explanation. Zhang Li noticed something strange. He felt as if Li Nianer was drawing on his power. Every time Li Nianer used a move, the energy he produced in 1 second of breathing was only a fifth of its usual amount. Li Nianer ended the battle within 3 moves, which was equivalent to Zhang Li not cultivating for 5/3 of a second. The victor of the divinity transformation group is Jojo. Another crushing defeat for Bawang. Qian's face was so grim that it seemed like it could drip water. In the body integration group, let Black Dragon go. By your command. The Black Dragon Territory Master took the stage, understanding Qian's hint. He immediately revealed his black dragon form, with its teeth and claws dancing, exuded the pressure of a real dragon, aiming to intimidate Jojo. Being Qian's steed, he had charged into many battles and killed countless enemies, gaining much merit and winning Qian's trust. It's my turn. The East Sea Dragon King stepped forward. He performed a somersault, revealing his green dragon form. He too exerted the pressure of a true dragon, overshadowing the Black Dragon Territory Master. The 2 dragons faced each other in the air, and sparks flew from the friction. The referee had not yet called the start of the match, but the 2 dragons were already attacking each other. The Black Dragon Territory Master intended to combat on the continent of Jojo to disturb the onlookers and throw Jojo into chaos. How could the East Sea Dragon King do as the Black Dragon Territory Master wished? He stretched out his 5 claws and ripped out a piece of Black Dragon Territory Master's inverse scale, sending the Black Dragon Territory Master into a fit of rage. His dragon eyes were blood red, and he was ready to tear his opponent to shreds. The East Sea Dragon King lured the Black Dragon Territory Master into the cosmos, and with a flick of his tail, slapped the Black Dragon Territory Master's face, causing him to ache. "You're courting death," the Black Dragon Territory Master roared. They were all real dragons, all at the later stage of body integration. Where did the East Sea Dragon King get the audacity to challenge him? Flying dragon in the sky. The Black Dragon Territory Master's bloodline was stimulated, and his black scales moved as if they were breathing. Human Emperor Zhongli's strength. The East Sea Dragon King's figure was as enormous as a mountain. He possessed an unmeasurable, intangible weight and bumped fiercely against the Black Dragon Territory Master. The Black Dragon Territory Master's spine snapped into 3 sections. His body could no longer straighten, and numerous shattered bones were stuck in his body. The East Sea Dragon King, with his immense strength, held down the Black Dragon Territory Master's body and disemboweled him. He had long noticed that this compatriot was up to no good and had initially killed countless souls. At the same time, Qian gained the establishment's guidance from the 3 immortal elders and started misbehaving. Qian got up abruptly and sternly reprimanded, "What a ruthless Jojo, they are so desperate." As he said this, he initiated a spell to capture the East Sea Dragon King. Bai Hongtu took a step forward and combined with his avatar, holding down Qian's hand. He sneered, "Qian, losing face feels bad, doesn't it?" The other 7 masters of Bawang stood up. Seeing this, the heads of various powers in Jojo also stood up, and the fight seemed imminent. Chapter 638, The Foundation of Jojo. Thank you to reader 20,200,302,184,015,187 for their alliance leader's contribution. Qian led the attack, standing on the point of righteousness. "You cheated first. Don't think I don't know. In your Kyushu, there is a formation laid out by immortals that suppresses the powers of monks from other worlds, reducing them to less than half. The grand array of Kyushu suppresses everyone, including us. Even when spouting falsehoods, there should be limits." Bai Hongtu's expression grew colder on hearing such shameless remarks. "No use arguing, since you in Kyushu have no intention of cooperation, let's tackle this matter on the battlefield directly." Qian, the chief, forcefully instigated the war. If the 3 immortal ancestors agreed that there was no problem, what did they have to worry about? The 8 chiefs simultaneously released their Transcendence Tribulation aura in an attempt to envelop Kyushu, seizing the upper hand. "How dare you cause trouble?" Lu Tongxian stepped out of Imperial Palace, emitting fluctuations of late-stage Earth Immortal. Zhongli converted the merit power he had accumulated into bricks of merit and gave them all to Lu Tongxian. Lu Tongxian had already reached late-stage Earth Immortal power level, making him a true late-stage Earth Immortal. "Fellow Taoist, why are you so anxious? How about we sit down and talk?" When a Earth Immortal, who radiated an aura of chill, appeared with a chessboard, he invited Lu Tongxian. "We pay our respects to Yin Immortal." All of us in the 8 Desolations said in unison. This was one of the dual Earth Immortals of the 8 Desolations, Yin Immortal. "What do I have to talk about with someone like you? If you want to fight, let's fight." Lu Tongxian had received Zhongli's message and knew the unscrupulous elements on the side of the 8 Desolations. Very few people knew that Lu Tongxian was a body cultivator. Simultaneously, the Dao sect also sent out Earth Immortal aura, with the Yang Immortal of the 8 Desolations also making a move. Old Master Huang Chengkun set down the ancient book, shook his neck, and came out of the ceiling self-cave to fight. "I haven't fought for a long time. I don't know if my old bones can still move nimbly. I am Huang Chengkun, the last disciple of Dao ancestor." The immortal old man announced his name, which scared the opponent. The opponent never expected that his opponent would have such a horrifying background. Dao ancestor's last disciple, this title was enough to give him the ability to walk sidelong in the immortal realm. The 8 Desolations, Yang Immortal. Yang Immortal also announced his name, clearly lacking in confidence. Yang Immortal became an immortal only after the ladder to immortality was broken, so he didn't have the qualifications to connect with the immortal realm. As always, Kyushu was incredibly profound. The most formidable celestial warrior was from Kyushu after one of the 3 corpses chose to refine its heart here. In addition to that, there were 3 or 4 golden immortals who ascended from Kyushu, both righteous and demonic. The 8 Desolations were not even qualified to be compared to Kyushu in terms of ascension strength. "Tian Yin, brother, can you help me?" Yin Yang Heaven Seal appeared and landed in the palm of old Master Huang Chengkun. Zhongli of Mahayana period. "I thought little Qian was just spouting nonsense, but seeing it today, it's indeed unfathomable." The sound of the immortal's voice echoed throughout the imperial palace. A Taoist in a Tao robe appeared with a horsetail whisk in his hand and an incense burner. Bao Yi Celestial. This was the most formidable warrior of the 8 Desolations, a registered disciple of immortal monarch Lu Wu, and a half-step heavenly immortal, Bao Yi Celestial. When dealing with an unknown opponent like you, it's better to tread with caution. This eternal incense burner of mine was personally refined by immortal monarch Lu Wu. It can bring our combat powers to an equal level. Go. The incense burner let out some smoke, entangling both the Bao Yi Celestial and Zhang Li's doppelganger. Zhang, the Emperor, please accompany him to play, let's have a good and quick battle. Everyone shouted together. They had noticed a long time ago that the 8 Desolations weren't good. They were domineering, arrogant, and ignorant, and they carried a myriad of resentments on them, using demonic spiritual treasures like the 10,000 souls sail. The 8 Desolations were undoubtedly a world dominated by demonic ways. Kyushu always resented and even resisted the demonic way, yet the 8 Desolations still dared to appear brazenly. It was as if they did not regard them at all. A few days ago, they were concerned about the alliance between the 2 realms, but now that the 8 Desolations had shamelessly made the first move, don't blame them for not giving any more opportunities. The chief of the 8 Desolations only covered up the fact that they had deliberately collided with Kyushu. They never thought to cover up the fact they were of the demonic way. In his view, their disagreement with Kyushu was a dispute over priorities and power. He never thought it was a dispute over ideology. Unknowingly, he had long angered the people of Kyushu. Seeing that everyone was so enthusiastic, Zhang Li's clone and Bao Yi Celestial entered the incense burner together, engaging in a one-on-one battle. Bao Yi Celestial was shocked and tried to escape from the incense burner. Why haven't our powers been brought to an equal level? Zhang Li's clone ignored this and pushed Bao Yi Celestial back in. Let me vent my anger first, don't fight yet. Yu Yin patted Zhang Li's real body, stepped forward, and merged with his incarnation. Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin, Jian Jun, Li Old Dragon King, the 5 at the Transcendence stage banded together in mutual anger. The 3 controllers also wanted to make a move, but were stopped by Zhang Li's real body. Keep an eye on the youngsters, and don't let them get into trouble. Zhang Li sent a voice message to the 3 controllers to keep attention on the monks in the competition. Seeing that the chiefs of the 8 Desolations had made a move, the monks who were participating in the contest began to sneak attack Kyushu. Kyushu was not a pushover, and their counterattack was swift. Especially the body integration realm was the most lively. There were still many in the body integration stage in the 8 Desolations who hadn't made their move yet. They wanted to seize this opportunity to show off in front of the chiefs. Zhang Konggu, who was leading the body integration fighters, matched the fervor, and a fierce battle unfolded between them and the 8 Desolations. Zhang Li was not worried about Kyushu losing, but he was concerned that the battle in the body integration realm would affect Kyushu's other monks, so he asked the 3 controllers to protect them well. 5 of you fighting against 8 of us. On seeing that the 3 controllers didn't pay attention to them and instead went to protect the monks, the head of the 8 Desolations was amused. Where did Kyushu get their confidence from? 5. If you, the chief of the 8 Desolations, can't count, then I can help. GG appeared and walked toward the center of the battlefield. With each step he took, national destiny was added. When he reached the center of the battlefield, the national destiny had been added to form a full transcendence tribulation stage. In the 9 imperial dynasties, the Zhao Empire was the most powerful, with the strongest national destiny, and the best addition effects. Apart from Yu Yin and GG, there were 7 imperial masters. The masters of the 7 great imperial dynasties flew in their yellow robes. With each one of them shouting, "Come," in unison, boundless national destiny was mobilized. If someone looked down at the whole of the Kyushu mainland, they would be amazed to find that, with the imperial palace in the center, the 9 imperial dynasties erupted like volcanoes, spitting out different colored auras, each representing different types of national destiny. Da Zhou, Tian Yuan, Da Wei, Meng Zhong, Bai Zi, Da Yang, Da Sui, Wu Yu, Wu, the national destiny of the 9 imperial dynasties was mobilized and converged on the masters' bodies. Yu Yin advanced to the peak of the Transcendence Tribulation stage. GG advanced to the Transcendence Tribulation stage. The other 7 imperial masters became half-step Transcendence Tribulation stage. Although the 7 imperial masters often had disputes, they actually had a good private relationship. If they could unite, 2 half-step Transcendence Tribulation stages would be equivalent to a real Transcendence Tribulation stage. Since Zhang Li became the human emperor, He set an example, and all the countries responded by adjusting their policies, developing their national strength, and increasing their national destiny by leaps and bounds, far exceeding the past. Now Kyushu has 9 half-step transcendence tribulation stages. Bai Hongtu spread his arms, and the aura of the transcendence tribulation stage overshadowed the 8 desolations. Anyone who truly thought that Kyushu only had so many visible transcendence tribulation stages was gravely mistaken. Kill. With Bai Hongtu's order, all of Kyushu's top combat power was launched. There was no need for the 3 controllers to make a move. Kyushu alone was more than enough to overthrow the 8 desolations. Chapter 639, Retreat at every turn. Eliminating mortals to consolidate national fortune, such a method is rarely used even in a mortal realm. Your 9 provinces truly do go their own way. The Transcendence Tribulation stage experts from both sides are fighting at the boundary of 9 provinces and 8 wilderness. The wilderness lords were taken by surprise as soon as they met the enemy. They anticipated that 9 provinces would be strong, especially when they heard Zhang Li saying that 9 provinces had no mortals. This is undoubtedly the method of consolidating national fortune. However, how much can this method augment their strength, the 8 wilderness had yet to determine. Ever since Zhang Li entered the Mahayana realm, the 9 great dynasties rarely mobilized all their national fortunes. In the 8 wilderness's view, the method of consolidating national fortune is not worth the effort. Not to mention the amount of spiritual energy wasted on elevating all mortals to chi cultivation stage, how much assistance can national fortune bring? The strength of the national fortune is related to the national power. It's better to hold a few large-scale blood sacrifices than to waste effort on improving national power. The effect is much quicker. Sword Monarch is the first to strike, choosing a wilderness lord and slashing with his sword. The Wilderness Lord, a renowned figure who has fought countless battles in the 8 wilderness, reacts promptly by jihostifying his body into a cluster of fog. Sword Monarch's sword intent bursts forth with an illumination that's extremely dazzling, directly scattering the fog weapon. The Wilderness Lord reconstitutes his body, revealing a horrified expression on his face. How can your sword intent be so powerful? He has some understanding of sword cultivators. The most crucial thing for a sword cultivator to enhance himself is to hone his sword intent. But the problem is, where on earth can a Transcendence Tribulation stage sword cultivator practice his sword intent? Sword Monarch remains silent. With a flash of cold light, he pierces his opponent's layers of defenses. Should I tell you that I slash at Zhang Li's statue every day? Following, both sides engaged in a fierce battle, with Bai Hongtu confronting the Qian Wilderness Lord who he despised the most. In an instant, talismans, formation, and sword Dao shrouded the Qian Wilderness Lord. The Qian Wilderness Lord changed color in fright, triple cultivation. For a Transcendence Tribulation stage, mastering one cultivation method was already exceptional. Attempting 2 methods might risk overexertion of energy. How could this man excel in 3 methods? Could a person's energy and talent be so prodigious? Seeing the best opponent being taken by Bai Hongtu, Yu Yin had no choice but to opt for the next best, settling on the Kun Wilderness Lord. Break your neck. Yu Yin, high above and ruling over all, voiced the heavenly command, and his words brought about the law. The Kun Wilderness Lord uncontrollably twisted his own neck. Dig out your heart. Squish. The Kun Wilderness Lord dug out his own heart, disbelief showing on his face, one of the 10 great divine powers that manifests reality upon your words. Shut up. Rip out your tongue. Li Er's opponent was a Transcendence Tribulation stage who specialized in the law of heaven and earth. Among 8 wilderness lords, he ranked 3rd in strength. He laughed heartily, as his body expanded, dominating the field of vision, becoming the most noticeable cultivator in the universe. I am already in the late stages of Transcendence Tribulation, and in 100 years I'll reach the peak of Transcendence Tribulation stage, then cross the calamity to become an immortal. What makes you qualified to be my opponent? Li Er stepped forward. Behind him appeared a Dharma body of his own image. He gathered his strength and threw a punch. His opponent didn't expect Li Er's action to be so fast, and hurriedly crossed his arms in front of his chest. This punch had immense strength that held apocalyptic power, and directly broke the opponent's arms. Li Er sneered, I am already preparing to cross the 2nd immortal Transcendence Tribulation, and you're still talking about you haven't even passed the immortal Transcendence Tribulation yet. The opponent was stupefied. Aren't there supposed to be only one immortal tribulation to transcend? He had heard information stating that the Transcendence Tribulation stage cultivators of 9 provinces did not grade their strength on early, middle and late stages, but on how many immortal Transcendence Tribulations one had crossed, but he thought it was a rumor. But now that they had engaged in combat, he realized they, the 8 wildernesses, had made a grave error. Could it be true that someone named Zhongli had transcended 16 immortal transcendence tribulations? The puny newbie who has just reached transcendence tribulation dares to fight me. It's been a while since I've tasted real dragon. Today is a good day to have some. The opponent of the old Dragon King is a gold-winged Dapeng bird. The Dragon Clan and the gold-winged Dapeng Bird Clan are mortal enemies, often engaging in battles in the immortal realm. The gold-winged Dapeng Bird Clan openly declared that they feast on true dragons every day. The gold-winged Dapeng Bird is in the middle of the Transcendence Tribulation stage and does not fear the Elder Dragon King. With a gentle flap of his wings, he creates a spiritual energy hurricane in the cosmos, shattering stars. The Elder Dragon King remains silent, revealing his true form as a green dragon and bellows out a word. Human Emperor above. With this punch from the Elder Dragon King, one could faintly hear Zhongli's scolding. Even Zhongli's phantom seems to be solidifying. The Elder Dragon King is the highest achiever in the Dragon Clan in terms of practicing the Zhongli Human Emperor's power. Intuition told the gold-winged Dapeng bird that something was very wrong. The Dapeng drew its wings back to shield its body, forming a golden light shield. His golden light shield can only be broken by the brute force of the late Transcendence Tribulation stage, it's absolutely reliable. After withstanding a huge impact, cracks spread across the golden light shield, making it unstable. The gold-winged Dapeng bird breathed a sigh of relief. If this attack had struck his body, he might have been punctured. This must be the opponent's trump card, which cannot be used often. Now that he has defended against the trump card, it's his turn to attack. 100,000 and 8,000 feathers. His 100,000 8,000 feathers can compare to a top-tier sword cultivator's blade storm, and are sufficient to destroy an entire galaxy. Human Emperor above. The Elder Dragon King delivers punch after punch, interrupting the chant of the gold-winged Dapeng bird. Each of his punches is as powerful as the last one. The gold-winged Dapeng bird hastily reinforces its golden light shield, but the Elder Dragon King's punches are too fast, and the golden light shield simply can't withstand so many punches. Crack. After 5 punches, the golden light shield breaks. The Elder Dragon King grabs the Dapeng bird's wings and tears them off with brute force. The Dapeng bird's lifeblood spills into the cosmos. The Elder Dragon King observes that during this process, Zhongli's phantom is gradually becoming solid. As expected, the more you use it, the more proficient you become. The Elder Dragon King continues to use Zhongli's Human Emperor power. This opportunity is rare and must be seized. Dream Emperor and Emperor Wei join forces and their opponent is an enchanting transcendence cultivator who looks like a fairy. She is naturally charming, and every move she makes can capture a man's heart. Good brothers, if you join the 8 desolates, I'll be at your mercy. Her voice gives a tingling sensation that makes people feel weak, as if they are melting to their core. Dream Emperor and Emperor Wei are unaffected and scoff at her. You are far from the red dust fairy. They attack together. The Dream Emperor wields the Star Han Gold Rod, and the stars in the sky respond to his call. The good fortune of the Dream River dynasty lies in its splendid stars, drawing power from the celestial bodies, thriving in cosmic combat like a fish in the water. Emperor Wei wears a robe patterned with the tortoise and the snake, holding the imperial jade seal in his hand. The entire galaxy seems alive at his command. The good fortune of the Great Wei dynasty lies in the water god Xuanwu, which controls rivers, lakes, and oceans, as well as the galaxy within its grasp. The 8 desolates are repeatedly defeated with no power to retaliate. Especially the Qian and Kun desolate lords, they were confident of their invincibility within the Transcendence Tribulation stage, but when faced with Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin, they realize that there's a hierarchy even at the peak of this stage. Broken Asura Mirror, come. Bell of Universe Shaking, come. The Qian and Kun desolate lords take out the immortal artifacts to counterattack Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin. Compare immortal artifacts with us. Bai Hongtu snaps his fingers. 5 immortal artifacts, Brahma Tower, Great Confucian Word Post, 4 Sea Dragon Balls, Wishful Gourd, and Mount Heshan Stone, gleam brightly as they hover behind him. Chapter 640, Who isn't a heavenly immortal? Hurry up and bring it back once you're done. I'm still busy fighting here. The commander of Mo Island sent a telepathic message. She was fully occupied in a fierce battle with Mount Heshan and the chief of the 8 wildernesses, and Bai Hongtu had just borrowed the Heshan stone from her. Don't worry, it will be over soon, Bai Hongtu replied. How dare you be distracted during a fight? You underestimate us at your own risk. The Lord of Qian Wilderness reacted angrily, activating the Broken Asura Mirror. The Broken Asura Mirror and the Sky Shaking Bell were both exceptional immortal artifacts crafted by Lord Lu Wu. The lords of Qian and Kun wildernesses were barely able to activate these two artifacts by converting the merit they had obtained from killing enemies into immortal power. These artifacts were so powerful that they could rival the full-force attack of an Earth Immortal, unmatched throughout the 10,000 realms. Broken Asura Mirror. The mirror was shrouded in a sinister aura, transforming into legion of shadow soldiers. Their eerie cries resembled the wailing of ghosts. These shadow warriors were from both the immortal realm and the 8 wildernesses, fallen warriors vanquished in battles, absorbed within the mirror after being refined. These soldiers were fearsome fighters. In organized military formation, they could easily give Earth Immortals a run for their money. If slain by the mirror, the fallen would be absorbed into it, bolstering its power. The more formidable adversaries it defeats, the stronger it becomes. The key to overcoming adversity lies in transforming into an Asura and annihilating all enemies. Go! Lord Qian instructed the shadow soldiers to attack. Earth Immortals held a decisive advantage against opponents at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Allow me, the guardians of Confucianism, show yourself. The great Confucian word post volunteered for the combat, tearing off 3 pages with the character, war, written on each. 3 guardians of Confucianism appeared, emanating the powerful energy of Earth Immortals. This was the autonomous action of the great Confucian word post. If it was operated by a heavenly immortal, it could directly summon 3 early-stage heavenly immortal Confucian guardians. Although the shadow soldiers were formidable, they couldn't withstand the onslaught from the 3 Confucian guardians, all at the pinnacle of Earth Immortal power. Ding ding ding. As the bell chimed, the space was disrupted, transforming into waves, making it hard for anyone to maintain balance. The monks of 8 wildernesses remained unaffected and counterattacked swiftly. The sky-shaking bell was a mystical instrument disrupting space itself. Using spatial manipulation against me, scoffed the Tower of Brahma, standing in the middle of the battlefield. Despite its modest size, it evoked an overwhelming presence akin to a towering mountain. The Tower of Brahma suppressed the chaotic space, restoring tranquility. The upper hand gained by the 8 wildernesses was instantaneously lost. You started the fight with immortal artifacts, so don't blame us for doing the same. Bai Hongtu sneered, holding the great Confucian word post in his hand. He launched relentless attacks towards Lord Qian Wilderness. Master, let me help you. Gourd of Nirvana unleashed a torrent of power from its tribulation light, sweeping towards Lord Kun Wilderness. The Tower of Brahma arrived in Gigi's hands. Its harmony with the Tao of space and time made it an unbeatable match. It sealed off all changes, leaving its opponent with no chance to fight back. They could only brace for the attack. Seeing the old Dragon King's immense power, the golden-winged Great Pung thought of trading a blow for blow to seize a chance at victory. However, upon seeing the 4 Seas Dragon Ball in the hands of the old Dragon King, it reconsidered. The old Dragon King had both the offensive power of Zhongli, the human emperor, and the defensive power of the 4 Seas Dragon Ball. He was invincible in both attack and defense. Who could still view him as a mere beginner in the Transcendence Tribulation stage? Emperor Mengjong and Emperor Wei lacked effective offensive capabilities, and assistance from Mount Heshan killed the wilderness lord who was of enchanting beauty. The 8 wildernesses refrained from using immortal artifacts, knowing that doing so would incite the 9 states to do the same. The situation rapidly evolved beyond their control, tipping in favor of the 9 states. Suddenly, Bai Hongtu and Yu Yin looked up simultaneously as if sensing something. Roar! 4 earth immortal beasts tore through the realm's barrier, descending upon the 9 states. Seeing the 4 earth immortal beasts, Lord Qian Wilderness was overjoyed, as if he had seen the dawn of victory. Haha, they finally arrived. They are the representatives of the will of the immortal realm. How dare you resist the immortal realm? Surrender now. Before their relations with the 9 states broke down, Lord Qian Wilderness had received information from the 3 immortal elders. They told him that Lord Lu Wu was taking this matter seriously and had already dispatched reinforcements to help the 8 wildernesses quell the 9 states. Meanwhile, the holder of Supreme Oneness, an immortal, finally escaped the disturbed inferno with great difficulty. He was covered in injuries, none of which were healing automatically. While his wounds were not severe, the humiliation made them seem so. The humiliation could only be washed away by blood. Zhang, human emperor, stay in the censor for now. I'll deal with the 9 states first, then I'll come to you to settle the score. The holder of Supreme Oneness was furious, and he sealed the censor to prevent Zhongli from escaping. Although he didn't understand why he could not reach the same realm as Zhongli, it was not a matter of concern. He had plenty of time to fight Zhongli to the end. Unfortunately for him, this sort of seal was useless against Zhongli's avatar. Zhongli's avatar left the censer and returned to its original form. Follow my command, set up the formation. The voice of the holder of supreme oneness spread throughout the 9 states and 8 wildernesses. Upon hearing his command, the immortals of 8 wildernesses at the Transcendence Tribulation stage halted their fights, their faces displaying joy. The holder of supreme oneness was finally going to unleash his trump card, dispatching the 9 states for good. 8 wastes formation, 8 diagrams. The 8 wilderness lords stood at the 8 diagrams positions, contributing their powers. 4 symbols. The 4 earth immortal beasts obeyed the command of supreme oneness, standing at the 4 symbols positions. 2 elements. The yin and yang lines withdrew from the battle, standing at the 2 elements positions. And me, the keeper of the original essence. The power of supreme oneness surged, officially becoming a heavenly immortal. Holding the broken Asura mirror and the sky-shaking bell, he achieved the pinnacle of his life. Brimming with resentment, he intended to obliterate the 9 states. It's time to end this farce. As a heavenly immortal, one must not tarnish the heaven character. Today, let you mortals witness the power of a heavenly immortal. The monks of 8 wildernesses, upon seeing their immortal ancestors infuriated and unleashing their trump card, thus achieving an insurmountable peak for mortals, knew that the matter was settled. The power of a heavenly immortal was far beyond that of a mortal. It signaled a vague and indescribable relation with the heavenly Tao. By nature, a heavenly immortal was already a powerful trend. Just like the Mahayana realm previously fabricated by Elder Immortal Chengkun, no matter how much he lied, he only dared to say that the Mahayana realm could combat a heavenly immortal for 30 moves, not that the Mahayana realm could defeat a heavenly immortal. Because a heavenly immortal represented the will of heaven, vastly superior to an earth immortal. Haha, who isn't a heavenly immortal here? Bai Hongtu didn't take supreme oneness seriously. With the support of the spirit plant's powers, he directly ascended from the Transcendence Tribulation stage to the rank of heavenly immortal, reaching the same height as supreme oneness. To deal with such an opponent, he didn't need to utilize an immortal artifact. His own powers were enough to suppress him. Ascended to a heavenly immortal forcefully. You are an ignorant youngster. The mysteries of a heavenly immortal are not something immortal like you can comprehend. As a semi-step heavenly immortal, a disciple of Lord Lu Wu, I am aware of the mysteries of a heavenly immortal. I have even contended with a heavenly immortal. After becoming a heavenly immortal, I can freely wield such power. What about you? Having never encountered a heavenly immortal, even if you ascended to one, your comprehension is still stuck at the Transcendence Tribulation stage. Your existence is an insult to heavenly immortals. Bai Hongtu looked at Supreme Oneness as if looking at a clown, then said slowly. Shameless old man, I have experience fighting against Mahayana experts. Your so-called experience of fighting against mere heavenly immortals is worthless bragging material in front of me. If you die now, I, Master Bai, can at least leave your body intact. You're courting death. Supreme Oneness was enraged.